What's up, wrestling fans? Welcome to episode number 465 of the Smark Out Moment Smack Talk podcast, Hot Tags of the Week, where we're going to be giving you a breakdown of some of the current events, rumors, news, gossip, and other things that have gone down in the world of pro wrestling over the past few days that we feel like talking about. And we are your usual hosts here. I am Tony Mango, and I'm joined by Robert D. Felice.
Hey Tony, how was this week for you?
It was a week. How was this week for you?
Believe it or not, it was a week.
That's all I can ask for these times is, well, it sucked, but it could have been worse. Kind of thing. Hopefully everybody else has had a better week. I feel weird saying that in 2020 because the answer is inevitably no. But hey, maybe next week will be the week that everything turns around. I
It's
don't
coming,
know.
guys.
Something's happening next week. It could turn things around. It could make things worse. This could be the last episode of the hot tags. Who knows?
Yeah,
The world could blow up. It's just kind of,
no.
I could be hosting it next week, and instead of saying your usual hosts or Tony Mango and whatever, I could be Atom Bomb, and then we could be.
Well, then I'll be Crush, and we can be Chronic.
There you go. For all the people that have been like, you should really try weed. And I always go, not for me, but. That's a whole other story for another day. What we're doing here is our usual breakdown of some of the different things that have happened, like we mentioned before. We actually have quite a bit of topics to talk about. Unfortunately, not like, hey, here's 1,000 stories about, like, puppies are cute, aren't they? Different things.
Are we talking about the wrestling puppies? Because,
There's wrestling puppies?
like Jerry Lawler would say.
Well, then it's a different story if another positive thing. But for all you dogs that are out there, get your minds out of the gutter. So the normal setup that we got going on here, we're going to bounce around all over the place. We're going to have some that lead into some other stories. We've got some talks about trademarks. We got some talks about names. We got financial reports. That sounds really boring to be like, we're going to talk about trademarks and financial reports and names. But we promise it'll be kind of interesting. We got merch to talk about. We got people breaking down on Twitch. We got a documentary in the works. We got Halloween coming up. Halloween Havoc already happened. We got COVID outbreaks. It's all over the place here. So strap yourselves in and enjoy the ride. And when you have an opinion about something that we are talking about, or you want to talk about your opinion about something, go ahead and tell us what that opinion is. You can do that by sending us tweets, sending at Smark Out Moment or at Tony Mango or at Dude Felice. Or you can post something on the facebook.com/SmarkOutMoment or our Facebook group, facebook.com/group/the Megamaniacs, or you can do the best thing possible, which is either to go on the page at smarkoutmoment.com or the absolute top tier best thing, the YouTube page and the channel and the videos and all that we have going on there. They all have the comment section there. And while you're there, do what you should normally do for every kind of YouTube channel that you support. Hit that subscribe button, ring that little notification bell. That way you know when they go live, when they upload new things and do the stuffs, all the stuffs. Hit the like button on the video as well if you like it, because that helps out with the search algorithms and all that nonsense.
And it also lets us know that you like it.
Also lets us know, yeah, because, people are, they're very easy to hit that dislike button. And if you don't hit the like button, sometimes that ratio is a little bit weird. And, that's depressing when you see a dislike. Not as many likes as you hope. But also, if you feel so inclined and if you want to help out and you want to help us grow, here's some information to just get right out of the way. Talk about some different stuff like that. There's a little join button on the YouTube page. That'll open you up for the membership side of things, which is their equivalency of the Patreon. If you go to patreon.com/SmarkOutMoment, you'll see a whole bunch of different tiers from $1 and upward. $10 and up gives you access to the Patreon exclusive episodes called the Dark Casts. And you got the Pick Your Poison tier if you want to make sure that we do some kind of thing in particular. That is the way to make sure that we do it. There's also the merchandise shops on TeePublic and Redbubble. Always check them out if you're interested, because you never know when they're going to take a design down. So if you missed out on the Ben Star Wars things, they just got taken down. Well, there you go. You missed out on it. It's not there on the fanboy side of things anymore. But if you check out A Mango Tees and Smark Out Moment and Fanboys Anon on those, I think it's Fanboys Anonymous on TeePublic, Fanboys Anon on Redbubble. But TeePublic and Redbubble is where you'll find those different shops. Pick them up. Maybe it's a Christmas gift for somebody. Maybe it's a Christmas gift for yourself. Yeah, sometimes you got to treat yourself. So if you want a mug or a sticker or a shower curtain or an A-line dress or whatever they have, there are lots of different options here. So just go ahead and browse the
Have you ever
catalogs.
bought anything from your own merch shop?
I've gotten 2 T-shirts.
Just
Uh,
t-shirts? Like you've never gotten like, hey, let me see this on a pillow,
oh
or
no,
like,
actually, yeah, I got 2 T-shirts, a pillow, and a magnet.
good.
Yeah, the pillow, surprisingly good quality. I
Well,
got
that's
a
actually comforting.
I got a pillow for Caroline for a gift. I made a design that's not up on the shops anymore, and printed that out of a little heart with our colors and puzzle pieces, kind of getting
I
together.
love that.
Made a little magnet out of that too, in a different sort of design, and she loved them too. So the gifts are gifts that people love. There you go. Lots of those plugs out of the way. I will plug some other things going on. The very last plug I do want to mention, though, everybody's like, "Oh my god, you've been recording for all these times and you haven't gotten any of the stories." I know, I know, I know. But the last plug to mention, just to make sure that you guys take advantage of it, and I will mention it later on, is Champs Giving. Now, the Champs Giving qualifying round has been adjusted. I will be shutting it off sometime on Saturday, so you're going to be listening to this when you're listening to this. If you have not changed your response, you have a little bit more time. But what happened is I removed R-Truth, Shelton Benjamin, John Morrison, Bobby Lashley, and who was the other one? There's 5 of them. MVP from the possibility of being in the qualifying round, because it doesn't make any sense for them to be in there. They're still a part of the company. They're still active roster members. So I took them out. They are no longer counting. So all the people who voted for them, you can go in, edit your response, and you can change it to pick some other people for those if you picked any of them. Any of those votes that don't get changed just won't count. All the votes that go towards everybody else, other than those 5, still will count. So if you don't really care, if you're like, I voted for, Shelton, but it doesn't matter, I don't want to vote for anybody else, then, you just forfeit that vote. But go ahead and do that, because tomorrow at some point, meaning Saturday, Sunday, Saturday night, I'll say it, I will be posting the bracket, sorting that out, and we'll start off with round 1. So yeah, anyway, let's start getting into the hot tags itself, and let's talk about one of the big ones. This one is about names. Not just names in general. We're not just gonna be like, so what kind of names do you like? What do you think about Sebastian or something, But the WWE has gone through another series of name changes, and some of them for the better, I think. Some of them for the worse. Some of them for the lateral movement, and one of them is, goddamn, that's stupid. Brendan Vink is now Tony Modra.
What I like about this is that there's a football player named Tony Modra that I don't know because
Yeah, because we're Americans.
because we're like, not sports inclined, even if we weren't Americans.
Hmm.
But he's mad that Tony Modra has taken the name Tony Modra.
Yeah, I would be too. It's not like a name that you hear all the time. It's not like it's like I don't know, David Smith or something that's generic enough that there's a million people out there. It's a pretty
I don't know if I
specific
would
name.
care. Like,
I would care if somebody was just like, "Hey, I'm gonna go buy Tony Mango now." I'd be like, "Dude, fuck you! No, you're not."
well, yes, you would, because then people might support you thinking they're supporting them.
No, because then WWE would start sending me copyright infringement things,
They own your name, don't they?
right? So I get it. I honestly would assume that if he looks into kind of contesting that trademark, that he could probably win, and just be like, hey, look, I don't know if you can trademark your use of a name that I am a public figure too, because it's like you're a public figure and an athlete. It's kind of like somebody deciding that, hey, you know what? We're gonna rename Chase Parker from Everrise as Shaquille O'Neal. Like, I don't know if you can trademark that. Like, so
Uh,
I wouldn't be
might have
shocked
some
if
trouble
Brendan
with that one.
Vink ends up being maybe Tony Vink or Brendan Modra or a completely different name. You know?
I kind of like Tony Vink. I can get with Tony Vink.
Yeah, it could work. Sidney Bateman, who I couldn't tell you anything about, never seen a single match as far as I'm aware, is now Akeem Young.
I like the name. I like Sidney Young better, but I mean
Sidney
Sidney
Bateman.
Bateman better. But
I actually
Akeem
like
Young
Akeem
works.
Young better. I
I
think
just
that
like American Psycho.
oh yeah, I mean at that point, American Psycho is one of my favorite movies, so you can't go wrong with that. It is weird, by the way, if anybody ever noticed, that Christian Bale went from playing Bateman to Batman. Just took out the E.
Nice.
So Sidney Bateman, Akeem Young, I think it's a good move. Daniel, I still don't know how to pronounce it for sure. It's Vidot, I think.
Uh,
Vidot.
Daniel Vidal is what I say. I just drop off the T.
It's kind of the confusing thing, like Gal, because I've heard Gal Gadot, Gal Gadot, Gal Gadot,
Gal Gadot.
Gal Gadot, Gal Gadot, like all this other kind of stuff. So it's like,
Goo Goo Gaga.
yeah, Gal Gadot. But whatever his name is actually, sorry Daniel, I don't know for sure. It is now Xyon Quinn, Xyon is how you spell Zion.
I can kind of get with that.
I think it's kind of funny that we had this situation going on where you had Eric Rowan and you had Eric Rowe, and we now have formerly Zima Ion is now Joaquin Wild, and now you've got Zion Quinn. It's like they're all like, it's almost like a knockoff version name. You know what I mean? Like, I think it's
I feel
funny.
like, yeah, it's a good one. At the end of the day, though, some of these are so bland.
I mean,
Like,
like the name Tony Modra doesn't make me think of Macho Man Randy Savage. Like that's like an over the top, Hulk Hogan. The Hulk part sells that, and you got Dusty Rhodes, where it's like, okay, I could see that being a name and whatever. But like a Tony Modra name, it's like it's a guy, you know,
it's not just any guy, it's Tony Modra.
with two guys technically at this point.
Well, that's true.
Omari Palmer is now going to go by Odyssey Jones.
I
I like it.
like the name Odyssey.
I like it.
Yeah, hell yeah.
It's got a little bit more flow to it than Omari Palmer. Omari Palmer, if they would have gone with that name, still it would have been fine. But Odyssey Jones, like, yeah, that's a thumbs up. We also know somebody, but we don't know who, is going to be now Ivy Nile.
I like the name.
Now, I'm going to look on my list. If you go to smarkmoment.com, you will see like the full list of all the superstars and everything that is going on with the performance center and all these other kinds of people and everything. It's all updated to show you who is who now. So if you are wondering, if you're like, well, who's Tony Modra? It says, formerly Brendan Vink, et cetera, et cetera. I don't expect Ivy Nile to be anyone that we really know yet. Like, I don't think that they're going to announce like suddenly Indy Hartwell has changed her name to Ivy Nile, but she might. And she's the only one on that part that I think runs that opportunity. Santana Garrett is a possibility, but like we already know, like for instance, Aaliyah, she changed her name. It's Aaliyah's her WWE name. Chelsea Green, I don't think she's changing it. I think she's built up enough stock already that they don't want to change it, but she has been missing for a while. Maybe she changes it.
Let me get this off my chest, and we'll talk about the other half of this in a second. But who's got the Batman obsession? Ivy. We got a full-on Bane stuff happening in Retribution. Name we're about to talk about in 1 second. Who's watching Batman? And it's
Yeah,
just like, yep, this is it.
somebody out there is gonna be Joker in some fashion. Yeah. If you're gonna do that, make it characters that people don't really fully recognize, like I don't know, Birthday Boy or something. People be like,
I
"Who the
can't
fuck is
wait to
Birthday Boy?"
hear the Condiment King.
Yeah, Um, out of like, I mean, Ivy Nile, I'm assuming it's a female superstar. I don't think it's gonna be a guy with Ivy. It
I
might
like
be.
the name though. It's a cool name.
It strikes me as like that could have been Peyton Royce's name because she was doing the whole like
Yeah,
the
the Venus
rose type thing.
flytrap and stuff. I can get with it.
I don't think that would be like Kavita Devi. Um, so I'm leaning more towards here's who I think it is. It's either a repackaging of Chelsea Green, it's a rename, but not a repackaging of Indy Hartwell. But I don't think it's going to be Indy Hartwell because they've been flat out referring to her as Indy Hartwell for these little bits of time. It's a slight possibility it's Santana Garrett, but I think it's more so some of the people on the Performance Center side. And that gives us Brandy Lauren, Brianna Brandy, Catalina Garcia, Emily Anzulis, Rita Reyes, Sari, and Simone Johnson. I don't think we have anybody else that we're missing from that list.
Simone's gonna be an interesting one.
I can't imagine it being Simone
It's
because
not
they're
gonna
gonna
be Simone.
they're gonna want the Johnson name in there.
Are they though?
I wouldn't be shocked if they change Simone to something, but they keep Johnson.
Johnson, Johnson's the sucky part to me. Like, don't forget, he's still The Rock. You
Yeah,
know,
but everybody knows he's Dwayne Johnson at this point, though. You know.
now though, like I don't know, like would he have? Do you think Rocky Maivia could have been Dwayne Johnson?
What if they went with Simone Maivia?
I'm all for it.
That might be the case. I don't think it's going to be her. I don't think it's Sari because Sari's still in Japan, I think, if I remember correctly.
That sounds about right.
Catalina, I mean, she was Catalina. I think she's just whatever. But she might be. Maybe. I don't know. I think it's more so it's either Rita Reyes or it's Brianna Brandy.
Brianna Brandy is the one that stuck out to me.
And she was one of the only ones that I could recognize on NXT this week. So, you know, it could be Brandy Lauren, just the same. It's one of them, though. I don't think it's Emily Anzulis. And I don't think it's like,
Brandy
I don't know.
Lauren, a redhead?
Brandy Lauren?
Yeah.
I think she might be. Or at least she might dye her hair. I'm not too sure.
Ivy.
Yeah, that's true. People do. Like, I don't know a single redhead girl, by the way, that doesn't have some kind of an affinity for Poison Ivy. I think it's just like, hey, redhead, also good character equals me. I'm redhead. Like that. There's that kind of connection point, you know?
You know what though? I'm a big fan of Poison Ivy lately. Like,
Ivy's one of the best characters on that Harley Quinn show.
Yeah.
Well, if you want us to talk more about Poison Ivy, go to fanboysanonymous.com, hit up all the different things you can find up on there, the Facebook, the Twitter, the YouTube channel, the Patreon, the merch shops. The more that you show support for fanboysanonymous.com, the more we can talk about Poison Ivy. That'd be kind of cool.
Please.
So the other name to talk about is Matt Riddle, or as we should say from now on,
because I gotta get this off my chest. Riddle me this. Riddle me that.
That's in the thumbnail.
What's exactly wrong with a man named Matt?
He is not Matt Riddle anymore. He is just Riddle. We've said this 1,000 times. It's going to be the same story every time. This is stupid. And I understand why they're doing it. And I don't entirely disagree with how they're doing it. But it's stupid because they should have learned their lesson from Apollo Crews. Apollo Crews was Apollo Crews. Then there was a school shooting or something, if I remember correctly.
Was it the Vegas shooting? Oh my god, that's terrible. I don't even remember anymore.
That's how horrible things have been these days, where something like that, which is absolutely terrible, can happen, and it's just like
Crews, though.
Right. So
WWE
thought, oh well, we don't want an association with that, so let's just make it Apollo. And then they eventually went back to Apollo Crews when people, sadly, again, forgot about it because it's like, oh, it's only a terrible thing that ruined a whole bunch of lives, but it's a Tuesday, like that kind of bullshit. Sorry about going on a rant about that, everybody. I know nobody wants to hear about it, but
this country's horrible. I'm sorry.
It's just life blows. But with the Matt Riddle stuff going on right now, it's Matt Riddle, and it seems like their philosophy is, well, if he's just Riddle, people won't Google Matt Riddle and find all these things, which is like, I understand somebody pitching that. But what I don't understand is that there's nobody that speaks up and goes, yeah, but when you look under Riddle, everywhere on the internet is going to say Matt Riddle, and it doesn't fucking matter. It's not like you can avoid people finding out about the Matt Riddle stuff, if anybody's searching for it. Because you know what? If people care, they know about it. If they don't care, they're not going to know about it. Some casual who watches SmackDown or Raw just for the sake of it on like a random night, they're not going to go, oh, Riddle, let me go look up that guy and see if he's got any kind of dirt on him. They're just going to go, hey, Matt Riddle. He's a guy, you know?
So here's why I don't hate it. Goldberg. Goldberg is a stupid name.
I don't know. See, to me,
I can still call him Bill Goldberg. Doesn't make it less accurate.
I don't think it works with Matt Riddle. Maybe it's because the name is Riddle. Yeah, it's like if his name was like, I don't know,
Hammerstone.
Yeah, Hammerstone, sure. Like, or even if it was just another name that just didn't sound like it was trying to be gimmicky. Because now it's like, well, okay, your name is Riddle. If your name is Riddle, I assume you're a luchador or something. Like Mysterio.
Yeah. Also, another comic book villain.
If he starts coming out with Riddler shit, then we know that there's definitely somebody that's in that side of things. But
you know, so Fightful Select, Sean Ross Sapp reported this is basically in response to Vince loving his match with Sheamus. That he's like, all right, we're gonna push you. And by the way, Matt is a stupid Vince. This actually isn't reported, but he loved the match with Sheamus, and he's like, okay, cool, we're gonna go with you. By the way, your first name's gone. Sure. Like,
now there's sometimes this works. Like Rusev. I think Rusev worked. Like Alexander Rusev, it's a little bit of a mouthful. I can't imagine anybody ever being like, oh, the tough monster Alexander was whatever. I get it. You know, if it would have been Alexei Rusev, I think it might have been a little bit better.
Cesaro was great, dude.
Cesaro.
I like Antonio Cesaro, but Cesaro just being Cesaro is fine.
I like Antonio Cesaro better overall, but it's not too bad to just be Cesaro. Like, it works enough. Apollo, bad. When it was just like, hey, it's Apollo. Hey, Apollo is whatever, like that.
Because it's Apollo, like what, the Greek god, Apollo Creed, Apollo.
It seemed more like Apollo Creed, even more so than if it was just, Apollo
well, how
Crews.
Did you get the name? It's clearly mashing
Apollo
Terry
Creed
Crews
and Terry Crews, yeah.
Creed, right? Yeah.
Yeah, but like, I don't know, like maybe if they don't want people searching for Matt Riddle, maybe Matt Riddle's got a nickname, and maybe they could have gone with that.
Searching for Matt Riddle. I'm being totally genuine here. I do not buy the idea that this is in response to his fucking scandal. No,
it could be that. It could be that Vince doesn't like the name Matt. It could be that they're just doing it for the sake of it because that happens to be the thing. Or it could be a combination of all of them.
Imagine like anybody, not just Vince McMahon, but anybody waking up that day and being like, I don't like the name Matt.
It seems like it happens though. It totally happens in WWE. It's insane. I don't wake up any particular day and just go, you know what? I've changed my mind entirely about whatever. Like, anything. I don't wake up and go, hot dogs are better than hamburgers. God damn it! Like that kind of thing. Like, or just, I don't know.
You've never had that moment in your life where you're just like, hot dogs. I've been wrong my whole life.
Yeah, no, can't say I have, but it seems like that's a thing with Vince, to where it's just sort of, you never know. One of these days, he's just going to wake up and he's going to decide that things are different and that he's changed his mind and that no longer can you use the phrase belt and no longer can this happen and no longer can that happen. So it might just be that he was like, well, I really like that match with Sheamus. I don't like how they're calling him Matt, which is just like, really, that's not going to make a difference.
My favorite thing about this is it brings up the stories of like, wow, Gene Snitsky, why aren't you changing that name? Why the hell would I change his name? What the hell? Vince, you've been doing it for 30 years. What do you mean, why wouldn't you change his name? No, we're just going to use people's real names. In fairness, though, that's how we got John Cena. And I dare say that John Cena has had an easier time parlaying into movies and shit because he was just on our TVs as John Cena
Yeah, instead
for
of having to be Dwayne The Rock Johnson for a
and then it was
transition.
like, "Oh, well, he's dropping The Rock because he's too good for wrestling." Like,
It worked better for Dave Batista because he
that
was
too.
Dave Batista. Now they spelled it differently, but that's okay because they made it easier to spell for people.
Yep.
And
And
Dave
Batista
Bautista.
sounds like, an intimidating name. I like
Yeah,
Batista.
it's like kind of makes it sound like he's like Beast Batista, like that kind of thing. But Riddle is just like saying, okay, well, imagine this. Now, I would never be a wrestler. Not only do I not have the athleticism for it, not only do I not feel like getting my ass beat all the time and just being like, oh, everything hurts more. That's great. But I would suck at it too. So,
If you're about to say imagine as being Mango, I
yeah,
mean, I'd hope for nothing but fruit gear, fruit puns,
that's what it
fruit.
seems like. Because it's like, if he's just Riddle now, then it's just, I don't know. Like, it's not even spelled differently from Riddle. So
No,
Mango is like, yeah, if I went by Tony Mango and I'm out there and I'm wrestling, whatever, and people are like, okay, now he's just Mango, then it becomes, okay, well, is he calling himself Mango because he wants to be like the living equivalent of a mango, like kind of thing?
what?
Like,
What are Mango characteristics?
well, you got to imagine, like, okay, the guy who's called Mantar is a Mantar, and the guy who is a barbarian is a barbarian, and a guy who is Undertaker is an Undertaker. The guy that's Mango, I don't know, I'm multicolored and tasty and sweet. I don't know, like it's kind of
I would have to ask Caroline, and I don't want her answer.
but that's what it is. Like, I think you can go with one name things and it can work. And it depends on if you're gimmicky or if you're not gimmicky. Sometimes it can work with it, sometimes without it. I can't imagine Riddle just working forever now. I think he's just going to go back to Matt Riddle. And it might take a couple months. It might be when they have this all sorted out with what's her name again? Candy Cartwright, is that her name?
Yeah.
Wasn't too sure if that was the right name or not. Now if she went and she was just Candy, then it'd be like, all right, now she's, what is she, the
I want candy.
yeah, gonna come out with a lollipop and all that, like. But I think that whenever they settle out of court, which is probably what's gonna happen with her, a little after that, he's gonna go back to Matt Riddle. And I will just keep calling him Matt Riddle because you know why? I keep calling Buddy Murphy because just by Murphy sucks.
Yeah. I hate Murphy. I hate just Murphy. Buddy's not a great first name, but just Murphy is so stupid.
It's bland. Nobody can ever do this type of thing where you're imagining the headline of WrestleMania and going, oh, can you see Murphy versus whatever?
You know who got away with it because it was kind of the tail end of that era? Bailey.
Yeah, Bailey. Well, the women's thing, I've never liked that either. I don't like Naomi, for instance, just being Naomi.
Because
And
that was a thing for a long time, right? Like
like practically
Naomi,
everybody,
Cameron.
Natalia,
Hell, people forget this.
Eve.
Charlotte.
Yeah, Charlotte was just Charlotte for a little while there.
And
I don't
then
know
when
why Becky
Flair
wasn't just Becky.
died, essentially, because he was, in a coma, and I think he might have legitimately died for a minute there. She was like, "Nope, I want to be Charlotte Flair," and it's just so much better.
Hmm.
It's so much better. Like Bailey works because they never gave her a last name. If you took away Becky Lynch and you just called her Lynch,
Right.
like that would be stupid.
There's not many people on the roster right now that I can imagine being able to pull off a one name thing. We do have some that just have it for the sake of it, and I don't like it. Like, I don't think that it's a good idea that the Viking Raiders are Eric and Ivar. Now,
I don't think it's a
Ivar,
good idea that the Viking Raiders aren't the War Raiders.
yeah, well, at least they're not the Viking experience.
Yeah,
But
fair enough.
at least with Ivar, that sounds more like it's okay, that's not your name, but that's your war name you decided to go with, kind of. Like, you know how some people are like, I don't know exactly what it is, but it's like they convert over to like a different religion or something, so they pick another name. That's kind of like that's like their like the
Yeah.
name that they're like christened with or something. Like I don't know, I never did it, so that's not something that I'm too familiar with. But like, it might be like, well, I'll put it this way: like, in Spanish class, we had to go with names in Spanish. Now I was one of the types that already have a Spanish equivalent, so in my classes, I was always Antonio. Now, other people, it would be like if your name's, I don't know, Michael, then you might not want to go with Michelle or whatever it is. So
It's
you,
Miguel, but
Miguel, I don't know. Michelle will be
it's
French.
French.
Maybe you don't want to go with Miguel, so you go with like some other name, Ricardo or something, like just whatever. But you were able to pick those kind of things. And if somebody like an Ivar is like, okay, my name is, oh, what's his name? His real name? It's not Hanson, right?
Uh, Ivar
Uh,
is it's something Hanson, isn't it?
it is apparently Todd Smith.
Fuck
So
that! I'd go with Ivar.
yeah, now like as bland as Todd Smith is, and they shouldn't just go, okay, well you're Todd Smith, but we want to give you a one name thing, so you're just Todd. Imagine being like the Viking Raiders are Eric and Todd, the Viking Raiders. It's just not the same. And Eric doesn't feel like that to me. Ivar does. So I'm fine with like Ivar being a Viking Raider. But Eric to me is like, all right, Eric is the guy that's bagging my
He's Ray
groceries.
Rowe, bro, and Ray Rowe is a fine name.
It could have been Ivar and Rowe. And then I would have been like, okay, not the best thing in the world, but sure.
Granted, like I don't want to see Bobby Fish become
Fish.
Fish, like
But he shouldn't be Bobby either. He should be Bobby Fish.
or like Roderick Strong can't be strong because it's like really that's the best you can do is
Hmm.
he's strong.
He can't be
Okay.
just Roderick. Adam Cole shouldn't just be Cole. Grand Metalik should not be Metalik.
Although I think that's one of the very few that you could probably get away with.
You probably could. But I wouldn't like Umberto Carrillo to just be Umberto.
Yeah, it'd be awful.
And it's like, there's certain people that it can work with, but there's not many. The Miz, that's not a name, that's a nickname, but that's okay.
I mean, because he's Mike Mizanin and everybody knows it, and the Miz works.
Mike the Miz Mizan, and then people go, hey Mike, whatever, whenever they need to. And that's okay. MVP. It's not a name, but it's a nickname. And it's an acronym based off of the name that he used in WWE, Montel Vontavious Porter. So you can call him MVP, but he can still be officially Montel Vontavious Porter. Matt Riddle, it's like, okay, he's Matt Riddle. His real name's Matt Riddle. You're going to call him Matt Riddle. Everybody in the world's going to call him Matt Riddle. But you think that changing it to just Riddle on the screen is going to make a big difference? It's not. I still don't like Sheamus not being Sheamus O'Shaughnessy, but I would have gone with something better than Sheamus O'Shaughnessy to begin with. But Sheamus, it's not the worst thing in the world. R-Truth, it's okay. Ricochet, cool, but he's more gimmicky. If Keith Lee just becomes Keith, that's gonna suck.
The new WWE champion, Keith.
Or if they do the like, oh, let's make him Big Keith because everybody's gotta be big, whatever.
I'll be honest. I know this isn't WWE. I fucking hate the fact that Heath Slater is just Heath now.
He is just Heath.
Yep.
That's stupid. Why? Why not be Heath Miller? Your name's Heath Miller. Just be
I
Heath.
think he was gonna go with it's Miller time, but then like he realized he couldn't.
The only ones I can think of right now, looking at this roster, that I wouldn't be too like, okay, they can do that and it's not the end of the world. Lars Sullivan. If they just went with Lars, I think that they can get away with that. I'm anticipating Dominic is going to drop Mysterio at some point.
He's gotta be Prince Mysterio.
But
and for that matter, Aaliyah should wrestle and she should be Reina Mysterio. I think that would be fucking fantastic.
Big E, that was a good transition.
I kind of liked Langston.
I like the Langston. I would have been cool with it, but at least Big E works.
Here's one that I can't stand. Andrade Cien Almas just being Andrade.
Yeah.
Wrong.
Not a big fan of the Andrade switch.
Wrong.
Mansoor, though, I'm cool with Mansoor just being Mansoor.
Do you know what his last name is?
It's like Al Shahal or something.
Sure.
I know I've typed it out a lot. Let's see. Mansoor. Look at that. Al Shahal. Why the fuck do I remember Mansoor's last name? So some other names that he went by the way, Manny Faberino and Big Money Manny.
I like Big Money Manny. I can
Big Money Manny Mansoor. Yeah, it's just like there's a certain flow to certain names, and some of them could be better and some of them could be worse. When Rinku and Sarov dropped the Singh and Gurger, I'm okay with Sarov being Sarov instead of Sarov Gurger.
Yeah, but did they also have to drop their presence from the face of the
Apparently
earth?
so. But like I like that El Hijo del Fantasma went to Santos Escobar as opposed to
the best. That's fantastic.
If he would have just been Escobar, it wouldn't be the same. But literally every time I come across him, I think of that one promo he cut when he did that. Every time it's in my head of, I am Santos Escobar. And I'm like, fuck yeah, you are. Like, it's cool.
You know what I think of when you say Escobar? And you already know. Fucking Eric Escobar.
No, Eric Escobar can't hold a candle to Santos Escobar. But yeah, Tony Nese, it's like, if he's just Nese, it sucks. If Velveteen Dream just became Dream, that would be bad. I don't like the Matt Riddle switch. I think that it's bad. We talked a lot about this one. This is a first hot tag.
Oh yeah, I guess we should move on.
We're 37 minutes into this episode. We had talked about one hot tag. Well, the other side of the name side of things is trademarks. So let's talk about how Cody has apparently abandoned his attempts to trademark Slamboree and the match beyond, as WWE have filed oppositions for that.
Depressing.
I don't care. I don't like them. Well, let me put it this way. If anybody would want to use these names as a pay-per-view, I would hate it. But I maintain that Slamboree should be used for WrestleMania access. I think that is the perfect name for that.
They would never.
They should make it like... Have you ever gone to an access?
I never have, no.
So I went to the one for WrestleMania 29, and I only went there the one day. Thank God I didn't spend any more money because it's not worth it. They've got, at least back then at WrestleMania 29, I don't know what they did last year, 35. Obviously, they didn't do anything this year. But they had like the room where it's got all the belts and the robe from Flair and so on and so forth. They've got all that stuff where you can look at things and take pictures and whatever. They got all the autographs. They've got matches that are going on. But they also had this like, not like a ball pit, but like a foam pit thing where people were like jumping into this like foam pit ring and whatever. And you've got the idea that like kids can, and adults can make like their own entrance and like more interactive stuff. To me, that seems like Slamboree. Because Jamboree is like that kind of a thing. Call it the Slamboree,
I like Slamboree. I wanted to see them use it. I'm kind of bummed out that they won't be.
I hate the match beyond. I really I cannot hear that and not think of Futurama. Welcome to the world of tomorrow. It's just like, oh, welcome to the match beyond.
You know what though? You're not gonna get me to say that it's worse than Blood and Guts. So yeah, I do wish they would have gotten the match beyond.
Blood and Guts is bad too. Yeah. And so is this one, because they have abandoned those trademarks, but they have furthered the trademark Best Summer Ever.
Yeah.
So with the match beyond, I think of the guys of Futurama. For Best Summer Ever, I keep picturing Dasha Gonzalez. Caught you when you're drinking, huh? I just picture her going, really? This is the best summer ever.
ever. This is awesome. Yes.
Poor Dasha. I'm sorry. You're great in a lot of ways, but it's just that was
I
so
love
cringy.
Dasha. No, no, no. Like she's great, but that's forever who she is to me now.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, certain people they run into that. Like, I can't think of Mike Adamle and not think of Jeff Harvey.
yeah, you listen, with Adamley, I know he's falling on hard times, and I do feel bad about it. But Jeff Harvey is who Adamley is.
And with Dasha at this point, it's the this is awesome kind of
This
thing.
is awesome.
So I just think
I'm
this is
gonna
the
wrestle.
best summer ever, like that kind of thing. Or I think of like a little kid, like in the back seat going to camp and just being like, "I'm gonna have the best summer ever." That's a hokey ass name for that. Come on, best summer ever.
It was probably just a tagline for a summer of events that they never got to do because COVID.
It's still a crappy tag. Not a fan of that, but hey, trademarks are trademarks.
Okay, it's the best summer ever, Tony. But is it the best of the best summer ever?
Yeah. Yeah, WWE, they have had not trademark, they've had taglines for every event in the past few months, and now we know it after SmackDown. Survivor Series is best of the best. And they've hit that pretty hard tonight. They had, I think, 4 promos that mentioned it. Like,
Yep.
Daniel Bryan mentioned it. I think Bianca did. Yeah, it's just, that's one of those things. Best of the best. I'm entirely convinced that it's Bruce Pritchard's call. Bruce, if by any
Yeah, I
chance
don't
you're
buy
listening to this, let me know. I think that I can see him being the one that pitches that and saying you got the best of the best against each other, and that's the thing. Because there's definitely somebody that is pitching the tagline. Because when it was just this random tagline for WrestleMania of, well, not random, actually not random at all, of too big for one night. That was like, okay, they're spinning this. They're trying to say, that's what we want you to focus on. We don't want you to focus on the fact that it's at the Performance Center. And I understood that. Totally get it. And then you follow it up with
Backlash.
was Backlash or Money in the Bank?
No, it was Money in the Bank. Money in the Bank.
Yeah,
Sorry.
Money in the Bank. And Money in the Bank was oh god, what was I just had it in my head. It was like it's worth the risk or something.
Was it?
It's all worth the risk.
Climb the corporate ladder.
I don't think that was. Let's see.
Could have
WWE
been.
Money in the Bank 2020. I think it was something about it's all worth the risk or something. The risk is worth the reward. That's what it was.
That's lame, bro.
So it was like, all right, well, I get it. The risk is worth the reward. You're risking yourself in the match, and the reward is really whatever, and it's Money in the Bank reward, Okay. Backlash being the greatest wrestling match ever was dumb. It's one match on the card. You can't advertise the card as one match, even though the one match thing was the whole thing that they're marketing on. But it's like, I don't know, like all these things, a horror show at Extreme Rules. Dumb.
Also, according to Wikipedia, we were both right. They also started saying climb the corporate ladder.
Now, climb the corporate ladder, I like, but I don't think it's necessary for a tagline. I don't think you need to slap a tagline on a poster, especially if it's something like Clash of Champions, Gold Rush. It's Clash of Champions. You don't need Gold Rush isn't going to. I can't imagine anybody looking at this and going, well, I was going to tune into this pay-per-view, but nah. Or somebody going, I wasn't going to tune in, but now that they've added the word Gold Rush,
Gold Rush.
now I'm going to tune in. I don't think anybody's going to go Survivor Series. Not going to waste my time. Survivor Series best of the best. Well, fucking, here's my $10. So it's okay. It's whatever. They're going to try to get you to focus on best of the best so you don't focus on the fact that NXT isn't there. But
Shane McMahon is still the best of the best of the best in the world.
Let's talk about Ronda Rousey. So,
oh my God, yeah.
she did you know that she had gotten arrested at one point in her life? So what this is a story about is there's a celebrity supporter recruitment list for the Trump side of things, and that they had taken note that she had been arrested in the WWE angle.
This is hysterical. What makes this better, and I'll keep this one brief, is that there's the story of Trump calling WWE when Vince blew up in the limo. So it's like, I wonder if this guy and his team are just like, well, what happens on WWE is clearly real life.
It's still real to me, damn it.
Woo.
So I'd imagine now that this is a thing where it's like, oh, okay, this is a precedent. Let's just fucking run with it. I'm imagining that there's some recruitment list out there that's like, I don't know if we could depend on that Mark Calloway guy. I mean, I think that he might have died.
I think he worships Satan or something.
You know, we should really talk to that Mayor Kane. He's got a habit of setting people on fire. Like, oh god, it's just bad.
What can you say? Like, holy shit, it's an angle. Trump, you work angles. Everything you fucking done is a joke. How do you not know what's going on here? Like,
A WWE Hall of Famer doesn't have people working on his staff that knows that Ronda Rousey didn't actually get arrested
I'm
for that.
so fucking mad I didn't go to that.
What,
I'm
that
so mad I
show?
couldn't say like, oh, I saw the president of the United States get
The Hall of
inducted
Fame.
in the fucking Hall of Fame in Madison Square Garden.
What year was that?
That was the one you hate, Tony.
That was 29.
Yep.
So I could have gone that to that too. Dace went to that one,
Yeah.
so he could say that he did that.
He saw the president get inducted in the Hall of Fame.
Meanwhile, I got my my business card thrown off the floor from Rikishi. I did that
Uh,
instead. I was like, I could go Hall of Fame or I could go Access. I'm gonna go Access and try to give my card out to a bunch of people. Should have gone
yeah.
Hall of Fame.
Wrong call.
Yep. Probably would have enjoyed the Hall of Fame more than I did WrestleMania. Maybe they would have had better hot dogs there.
Yeah, that was the Mick Foley one. I think you would like that.
Yeah, Foley, Booker T. Forget who else.
Trish.
Backlund, maybe?
Trish Backlund and San Martino. That's actually like a really good New
Good
York
crop.
Hall of Famer.
Yeah. Let's talk Sting. Sting has no longer, no, I'm wording the sentence like a stupid thing. WWE no longer has Sting's merchandise on the WWE shop. That's a much better sentence for the person who has a fucking degree in teaching. Teaching English on top of that. Sting and the shop and merchandise off. No longer.
Listen, I kind of like where the speculation will lead of like, he'll be in AEW. I said this in May when like it was said that they couldn't make action figures of him anymore. I think Sting managing Darby Allin would be great.
He's going to AEW at some point. It's happening. It's just do it.
Just do it. Yeah, just fucking do it.
I don't know if he'll wrestle. Kind of depends on how healthy he is. But they got Arn, they got Tully, they've got the WCW connections with everything.
They're on TNT, for God's sake.
He's going to AEW for something in some fashion. They put Eric Bischoff on there. They put
Twice.
DDP on there. They put whatever.
Ring.
They're running through it. Glacier's been on there. Fucking Glacier's been on there.
Hasn't.
He's been on AEW, yeah.
Doing what?
He's part of Cody's crew.
I haven't seen him like on AEW TV. I think he might have done something at All Out.
He might not have been on Dynamite, but yeah, he had done stuff at other things.
Wow.
Yeah, Glacier is a part of the whole Nightmare family kind of thing, but not wrestling. Yeah, I mean, he probably would though. Like they probably would have him pop up on Dark at some point if they wanted to.
I'm all right with Glacier.
I was more of a Sub-Zero guy.
Sting should go to AEW. Like I know that's the thing to say about everybody, but I think Sting would enjoy it, and I think it's almost like a blemish on his record now that he did go to WWE, and that it did go so poorly.
It's a shame. I really think if Sting would have just wrestled The Undertaker and then not did anything else, it would have been a lot better.
I think if they just, and we'll never know, like we'll never know what the plan was after um Rollins, because maybe the plan was Undertaker's in the Rumble, Sting's in the Rumble, they face off in the Rumble. We're going to Mania, kids. You know, like
Might have been. Who did Taker fight that year?
Shane in a fucking Hell in a Cell.
That was the year where everybody got injured,
That
right?
was the year that nothing went down. If that year had gone down as planned, it would have been one of the best WrestleManias. And I'm sure it would have come down to like Undertaker, Sting, maybe even in Hell in a Cell. I don't know, but it would
Hmm.
have been great.
See, man, that timeline got all messed up because Brock won.
Fucking Brock Lesnar, like
It's all his fault. Really quickly, let's mention this one. We never have anything too much to say about it, but Tracy Smothers has passed away. The typical scenario with this. What do you say? That sucks. Um, I do not know much about Tracy Smothers' career. I can't tell you a favorite match. I can't tell you if I've actually seen a single Tracy Smothers match.
I'm willing to
Actually,
bet that you probably haven't. I have. Tracy Smothers is good. We drafted him the other day. He's Freddie Joe Floyd on the '96 draft.
who ended up with him?
I probably did. Um, Tracy Smothers is a good dude by all accounts. It seems like he was really beloved in the industry, so that's always nice to see. It's a shame he died fighting cancer, lymphoma. You know, I wish I could sit here and say, watch this. If you like Smoky Mountain, you know, there's a ton of territory stuff that you can watch. Smoky Mountain, USWA. You know, search Tracy Smothers on the YouTube machine, and you'll find some good shit.
Yeah, so obviously condolences out to friends and family. That's never a good situation to report on that, but mm. Let's talk about it's a gauntlet of things to talk about for this. WWE had their earnings report for the third quarter.
Yeah, they did.
Have you been looking into this?
I have.
What kind of fun, interesting, oddball, what the fuck type stuff do we get out of this thing? Because every time we get something.
So their network subscriptions are up 6%, which is good. Typically, they're down.
That's not them counting free network people things and just saying that that's a
I
subscription, right?
imagine that no, it's not because they've launched the free tier, so now it's separate. There will be a Vince McMahon multi-part documentary series heading to Netflix.
That is something that. Well, you know what? Let's go back to the earnings report for some other. Let's talk about the Netflix thing because I had that as a whole separate hot tag. But let's talk about it. I can't imagine if this is in WWE's control that this is going to be entirely honest and just like, oh, Vince is cutthroat and he does this and he does that. Like, we're going to talk about the Twitch stuff. I don't think that they're going to mention anything like that. I think that's going to be
I
conveniently
think they
not
might.
mentioned. Do you
Not
think?
like
Did they
not like
clarify?
anything current, but like I think they might talk about Vince McMahon being a prick to the territories. It's been long enough. He'll
So
probably open up.
is it more so the rise of Vince McMahon and such, not like what Vince is doing now?
Well, it's a five. Well, I don't know how many parts, but it's a multi-parter. So maybe they could. I expect to hear a lot about his upbringing. I expect to hear a lot about like abuse as a child, and maybe we get some like insight as to why Vince is such a
Weird guy.
peculiar individual.
I liked the Andre one, and they're the people that worked on the Andre one, right?
Flatulence. That was my takeaway from the Andre one.
So I'll definitely be checking this out for sure.
Oh yeah, this is
You
gonna
know,
be like let's get on here if it's the hot tags or even if it's the own thing. Let's talk about it. You know, like this is gonna be big.
did they give a release date?
They did not.
Because I didn't come across any of it elsewhere. So
Here's
yeah,
something they did give a release date for. 2021, there will be an Indian focused event based around Indian talent. Mostly partnering with Sony because that's their Indian distribution partner, but it will be released domestically in America. Now, they did not say whether or not this event will be in India. I imagine if travel is possible, it will be. But oh boy, does this mean a lot of Kavita Devi, or does this mean a lot of Kavita Devi?
Does this mean NXT India?
Does this mean Jinder Mahal becomes a two-time WWE champion?
Does this mean Jinder Mahal becomes Kavita Devi?
Oh, that's a different thing entirely, sir.
uh, I don't know what to think about the India thing. It seems like they want to expand to India, to Japan,
I'm
or maybe
sorry.
they just.
Like, they're got a devoted fan base over there, but I don't think when you think pro wrestling, do you think India?
I don't. But then again, I'm an
Yeah, like
ignorant
I
American.
can't
I don't
think
think
of anything.
anywhere but here. you know?
Really?
Yeah, for the most part. I don't think like that Russia's got any kind of wrestling stuff. It's pretty much like here in Japan and Mexico.
In Canada, be nice to Canada.
Yeah, they're here.
Okay.
Canada's America's hat. Like, you guys are Americans. You just have things better than we do in a lot of ways. You're nicer people.
We're
And
gonna go live in the hat.
yeah, you get to chill out in the hat and be nicer to each other and have less crime.
Fair
It's
enough.
kind of like Canada's WWE if WWE, I mean, not if WWE. Canada is the United States if the United States behaved. That's what it is.
Bret Hart, when speaking to Sean Ross Sapp, just called them the bastard child of Britain and America. And I'm like, okay.
I can see that. But like that's why I think like you got the North American Championship. That includes Canada.
It does. It does indeed.
So I don't even think that they should go with an NXT Mexico. But I do think
I
that
think they can barely handle the two NXTs that they have.
for that matter, I don't think that they should have NXT UK anymore. But I think having an NXT Europe, which it's essentially what NXT UK is. NXT Europe, NXT Asia, NXT India, whatever they want to call, like, that whole section there, because Australia, they're lumping in with the UK, and there's not going to be like an NXT Antarctica. Now they could go maybe NXT South America.
How do you know there's not going to be an NXT Antarctica? Are you in charge of Antarctica?
Well, we have the Riddler, we've got Poison Ivy, so we got the Penguin there if we get NXT Antarctica.
And Mr. Freeze?
Yeah. Yeah, we got two people on the roster. I mean, what do you need at this point? and Sidney Bateman can change his name to Sidney Batman, and then
Yeah, there you go. We're right back in American
right.
Psycho.
So I don't know about the India thing. What else is from this earnings report? A lot of profits, right?
No, they did mention that expenses are going back up because they've, brought a lot of people back from furlough. This was also notable because Nick Khan and Christina Salem started on this call. Nick is the new president, and Christina is the new CFO. Stephanie was on this call, and Stephanie was very Stephanie and was like, "We call it the WWE Universe because it's so inclusive, and she does the work that she does to put corporate spins on everything that this company does is amazing, and truly, like, she is the quintessential 2020 businesswoman, for better or worse."
I hate company speak so much.
Like, for better or worse, she's got this shit down, man. And I do want to laugh because Vince, this is like a four-person call. Vince is on this thing, and when Stephanie gets done speaking and she turns it over to Christina Salem, Vince goes, "Oh, would hate to follow that." And it's like, wait, Vince, did you just bury your new CFO to put over your daughter in front of your investors?
yeah.
Like, I was floored. Vince sounded for the first time all year like he was actually upbeat about the direction of the company. He's like, "Yeah, we're really energized again, and we're excited, and there's a lot of optimism in the company." So, like for the first time, he sounded like, "Okay, good. I know where my company is going again."
He's like, look, our subscriptions are up, our spirits are up, our
Oh
COVID
my
outbreaks
god!
are up.
He literally said, "Whoa, whoa, whoa." Somebody asked about the ratings, and he goes, "Listen, I understand ratings are down, but you can't keep hanging your hat on the ratings being down. You have to look at the overall and the YouTube numbers and things like that. We have more fans than ever."
More fans than
Actual,
ever?
actual quote. We have more fans than ever.
By what metric?
Digital.
So the same person clicks on each of the videos on YouTube and they count as 5 people or something?
How would you know that if it's the same person? No, it's 10 million people.
Oh god. It's like that whole like, oh, did you check out how many people followed this thing? This got retweeted so many times, and we assume that every retweet means that it's on these many eyes. So 56 billion people saw our most recent tweet. Twitter's got a reach of how many billions? Well, they probably all saw that one, so. Uh,
Amazing.
I cannot stomach these types of earnings reports and
I
company
I
speak
love them.
things. I just hate company speak. I can't watch anything that has to do with this stuff. I could get
Y-
away with watching like a TED Talk. I haven't really. I can't find any topics that I really would be interested in listening to, but like even watching something like I used to check E3 coverage and I hated it because I'm not a gamer to begin with, but watching something not being a gamer, you just hear all the company speak. And it's like the Xbox representative or the PlayStation representative is like, we are looking to have a fully functioning multi platform apparatus with a structured, integral, I don't know, seasoning of whatever. And it's just kind of like, oh, so it's BS, BS, BS. Can you just say it to us like faster, better graphics? Like, just boil it down to that kind of stuff. Because the more you talk nonsense, the more it's just like, all right, you're upselling me. You know, it's the
I
same with anything
understand that.
else. Like anything, whether it's if somebody's trying to sell you their product, and you can tell that they're trying to sell you the product as opposed to that you want to buy the product, it instantly turns me off. Every time I've been in like a car dealership, I'm the type of annoying person who people at car dealerships do not like. Now, I've never had the money to buy a new car, but I've been there for other people and when people have been doing things, and I'm the type of jerk that goes, "Yeah, well, none of that means anything. What do you mean about this?" And people get like, "Oh fuck! Well, this guy's asking me actual questions," and I'm like, "Yeah, can you like shut the fuck up? And can you tell me what it's, well, if we are gonna have I don't know if we can go with a price like that. Let me see what I can do for you. Whatever. What do you mean? Can you do it for me? Are you gonna do it or not?" And it's like, yeah, don't give me the you're giving me the friends and family discount when it's the same price as what it was before. Tell me what the price is. Tell me what you're willing to knock off. And I'll tell you yes or no, and then you can,
I
you
don't
know.
know if I'm allowed to bring this up, but I so badly want to reference you you and Caroline uh looking for places to hold your wedding, and then somebody trying to butter you up, and it's like, you don't know anything about us.
Oh, I'll talk about it really quickly. Like I won't do specifics, but if you are going to try to tell us, oh, I love your story, and this ring is so you, and it's like, you just met us, you don't know anything about this, I can't tell you what your personality is, you can't tell me what our personality is. If somebody were to say to me like, and people have done these kind of things, they're like, no, you want this kind of thing, don't you? Where it's like, you strike me as a type of guy that wants to have this type of music for a DJ thing or something, and it's like, yeah, what are you going on? Oh, well, you seem like that type of person. You must want that or whatever. Let me tell you, like that's where I'm doing that. Nah. How about you tell me what your price is? We can go. Okay. So I'm that type of guy that if I'm on like if I could get on these type of calls, I'd get banned because I would be the guy that would ask the thing. I'd go like, all right, like, now we opened it up for calls. You got anything? Tony Mango here reporting for smarkoutmoment.com. And I'd be like, hey, thanks for having me. So, Hunter, remember when you said that we were going to have a very interesting way and unique for whatever like that? Now, can you just be honest and say that you were saying that just because you didn't want us to be down about the Roman Reigns thing? Can you just admit it? Because then you would, regain some of your credibility. And I don't like the fact that you said something like that just to make people wait a week to find out that it wasn't worthless. And then it'd be like, can't get any questions to that guy anymore. He's calling us out on our shit. And it's like, it's true. I know that a lot of people are stupid, and there's a lot of complete idiots out there in the world that you can swing by total nonsense. And if you say it with enough confidence, they'll just believe you. Because I've done it to people, you know? I'm the type of guy that I can lie very, very well. I just try not to because it's a dick thing to do. But I've gotten out of some situations where I just completely bullshitted, and I was confident enough that people are like, oh, well, he knows what he's talking about. It's like,
I'm confident in your confidence, sir.
I could tell the story one time about how I got a 100 on an art project that I didn't even have the paint dry on one time because I was like on the spot. I didn't know that you were supposed to have a theme, and I'm like, all right, I'll think of a theme while I'm telling them my theme. I was going with this, I was going with that, like, just I'll tell you that off the air. I don't want to bog down the podcast and stuff. But the point being, like, corporate speak is just bullshit, and I hate it so much. And a commercial is just commercial bullshit corporate speak and stuff too. It's always, in these uncertain times, we want you to be with your family, and we're like your family. So can you buy a donut from Dunkin' Donuts, please? How about you show me the donut and you go, we got our new chocolate blast fuck you donut. It tastes awesome and it's like $2. Go pick it up at Dunkin' Donuts, you fat ass. And I'll go, all right, it looks kind of good. It's kind of.
So, the last thing I would say from this investor call is they have resumed talks about the network, but they have said it does not involve an outright selling of WWE Network to like a bigger party.
Huh. So what would that entail?
So I'm guessing you know how they have shit on Peacock right now?
Yeah,
Like,
what is that? Is it just like WWE content on Peacock?
yeah,
They don't
like
have any
it's
like
like
actual shows that are only on Peacock, right?
no.
God forbid they had another like
They
bottom
had an
line
actual show
experience.
that was only on Quibi, and Quibi died a horrible death.
Which one was that?
That was the 10-minute, uh, that streaming service that everything was only 10 minutes long.
No, I mean, what show did they have on there?
That was Fight Like a Girl. So, the
Oh, that's right. I forgot that I
yeah,
never saw any of that because it was on Quibi.
yeah, exactly.
Didn't Quibi have something like 65 million people, and then they said, "Yeah, we're going to charge you now," and it went down to like 10 people?
And I think, and this is no fault of their own. I think it just comes down to, hey, I can't afford these streaming services. I just got rid of 3. Like these are getting expensive. You can't always do this.
We talked about this before, whether it was fanboys or if it was Smark or both or whatever.
Merging.
The streaming wars are going to be one of the quickest things because the bubble is going to pop so fast. You go on a like your smart TV or something, and you switch over with like a whole bunch of different things. You got like Netflix and HBO Max and Prime and Hulu and Tubi is one, and
That's free, I think.
Crackle is one, and there's all these like dedicated things. There's a horror one called Shudder, which I never come across
I,
until the other day.
I okay, literally, while we were talking, I signed up for the free 7-day trial because I'm like
For Shudder.
It's Halloween for Shutter. Because I'm like it's Halloween, I'll fucking watch something for a week and then get rid of it.
And that's where a lot of things will happen like that. Like if you really, really like the stuff that's on Crunchyroll and you can't find it anywhere else, then you're gonna find that you want to have Crunchyroll. But like Sling, I'm looking at a list right now. I don't know what Fubo TV is. I don't know what BritBox
It's
is.
so Fubo and Sling are kind of like, hey, don't get cable, just pay for this and you can stream live television.
I don't know Philo or Philo.
Same thing.
Acorn TV.
That is more along the lines of like, hey, look at these classic TV favorites.
Mubi. MUBI.
Never heard of it.
DirecTV Now is AT&T's thing, I guess.
Sounds like, hey, it's DirecTV, but we'll also throw in some streaming for you.
Zumo.
Never heard of that.
Fandor. VRV.
I have Verve.
Hoopla.
Uh,
Uh,
sounds like a lot of hoopla.
Popcorn Flicks. Quick
That was
Flicks.
a free one that I used to use because it had like the old school Super Mario Brothers Super Show,
What,
stuff
Popcorn
like that.
Flicks?
Yeah.
All of these things, though, it's like when you click on them, it's a bunch of things that you don't really know. Like, oh, I just clicked on Popcorn Flicks. One of the first things that they have on here, new arrivals, is called Saving Jaws. Biologist Ocean Ramsey credits her connection with sharks to years of research, but others feel it's something more. Join her team as they try to stop global extinction of sharks. It's like these kind of not worthless, but like nobody's signing up for these services for the things that you skip past. You're signing up for Disney Plus because you want to watch Disney and Marvel movies. You sign up for uh the WWE Network because you want the pay-per-views and you want to watch the old things that are like that. You don't watch Tubi or whatever it is for these random types of things. So
I'll give you
they're
a good one. Like I signed up for Verve because like I was in the mood to watch Angry Beavers and they have some of the old school Nickelodeon stuff on there.
I really feel like in a couple of years when things settle a little bit more and once people realize that this isn't a sustainable business model, you're going to have the way that a lot of things are. I mean, look at like phone companies. You've got maybe 50 phone companies, but really there's only like 4. Cuz it's like you got AT&T, you got Verizon, you got T-Mobile. Sprint's there, but Sprint's part of T-Mobile now, I think. Because they needed to merge
Yeah,
because they
yes.
were both the fighting for the third thing. And I have T-Mobile, and T-Mobile's fine for me. It's cheaper than AT&T, whatever. Some people do the whole Boost Mobile thing. Some people do whatever, and I don't know what the Cricket, like what that is
Cricket's like
necessarily.
Boost.
It's like they all have like their secondary tier that's cheaper. It seems, which that's fine. I don't know why you would need to have it cheaper. I would think that it would be a hell of a lot worth it more if you just, I don't know, fucking had some lower prices for some things. Like just you go to AT&T and you keep everything within the AT&T system and you don't need separate stores and you just tell people, well, if you have this plan, it's cheaper. The AT&T bronze package instead of the silver package or something, like just do that. But you sign up for NFL Game Pass because you are an NFL fan and you want all the NFL shit you can get. And you sign up for UFC Fight Pass, NBA League Pass. Oh, these are all just passes, I guess. That's the thing. If you're a sports thing, it's got to be pass.
I guess so.
But Hulu is in a weird spot right now. I'm going on a deep dive for this. For anybody that's like, oh my god, talk about wrestling. But hey, we could talk more about fanboys, but we don't do as many fanboys podcasts, so humor me. Hulu is in a weird spot where they own the majority stock. Uh, blah, blah, blah. The majority stock is owned by Disney because Disney had bought out so many different things. And they can't get rid of Hulu without paying off Comcast because Comcast owns another, like a third of it or something. So Hulu's around with a lot of Fox content and a lot of confusing things like that because Disney, they either have to pay, if I remember correctly, it's something like $8 billion if they want to buy out Comcast and just get rid of Hulu. There's some sort of deal. I think it ends in like 3 years or so, maybe 4,
It's weird.
where
I wouldn't think Hulu would be one of the ones to go.
well, we're going to see in the next few years, their choices are basically this. They buy out Comcast for whatever the amount Comcast wants. Or after this deal is up, which I think it's in 3 or 4 years, they buy out Comcast for whatever their share is worth, which could be higher or lower. They get rid of Hulu or they don't. And I mean, that sounds kind of like, oh, they do or they don't. But like, Disney doesn't want to have some of like the Fox and FX and more like rated R type stuff on the Disney brand because they think that that's going to ruin the Disney brand. So they're going to need a separate streaming service to put all the other content that they have. Hulu might still stick around as Hulu, or Hulu might die out and they buy out the rest of Comcast and rename Hulu and use its assets and maybe even use some of the people that are working there and name it something else. Like they're calling it like, I don't know, they couldn't use the name Disney because that's the whole point. It's they don't want to use the Disney name. But maybe they go with
Fucking
like,
complicated, man.
because they own Searchlight now, maybe they go with like the Searchlight streaming service or something like that. So, hey, if you want to buy the Disney Plus app, you got Disney Plus. And if you want all the things that Disney owns that are more adult and not on brand with Disney, get Searchlight. And then they go, well, if we're just calling it Searchlight for now. And then you can go, if you want both, here's a couple dollars off if you sign up for both. If they're $10 a month for both, maybe you sign up for both for $17.99 or something. That's how this stuff's going to work. And you're going to see like these things like Shudder and all that. Eventually, they're all going to get bought out by other companies that have bigger, like Apple TV or Amazon Prime or whatever, Netflix. They're going to be like, hey, can you just like not be a thing anymore and we can take over all the things that you have and we'll pay for you to stop being an extra little side thing.
So then here comes the question of who swallows WWE?
That's where we're all getting to. It was a long-winded way for me to get to that point. But WWE, I feel is going to be in that niche where they don't get swallowed up. Because you're either going to have the big groups that have all the movies that they possibly can. I'm assuming, well, I mean, I don't have the full list in front of me anymore. HBO is the Warner thing.
Yeah.
Paramount Plus, I think is the name of the one. With Viacom. I think it's
I've
Paramount
never
Plus.
heard of that. No, CBS.
Yeah, they're switching it over to. I think it's called Paramount Plus is when they're going to switch
What?
it.
When?
They already announced that like weeks ago, months ago, whatever it was.
That's stupid.
I like CBS All Access, but then again, you're tying that to CBS. So if you just have one big network thing, it makes more sense. I'm assuming you get the Warner Brothers HBO one, you get the Viacom one, which is Paramount, whatever. You get the Netflix, you get the Disney one, maybe like 2 or 3 others, like Amazon and Apple, whatever. And they swallow up Crunchyroll, they swallow up Shudder, they swallow up Mubi and TV and not TV, DAZN. That's another thing, you know.
I don't know if
Maybe
the zone might get swallowed by ESPN.
I think DAZN gets swallowed up, and I think that NBA and UFC and all those that they all have a separate thing. That's like each individual sport is a separate thing. Because I don't think ESPN can buy them all out and have them all. Imagine though if ESPN could just be like, "Hey, we're taking NBA League Pass, we're taking UFC Fight Pass, we're taking NBC Sports Gold, we're getting the NFL Game Pass. We're gonna be sports.
Why is there
Just
so many of these?
buy sports." If you have the ability to do that, then WWE would probably go with that. Because if there's a thing that they can create where it's UFC, NBA, NFL, hockey, whatever, if you can lump them all in, WWE will go there because they'll be like, yeah, we're a sport, even though they don't want to be a
No, they
sport.
wouldn't. They want to be bought out by the biggest. They want to be bought out by Disney. Let's just fucking. They they would be fine being bought out by Disney through ESPN,
Well,
but
that's where I was going to say Disney owns ESPN, so it makes
they
sense.
they want to be bought out by Disney. They want so badly to be entertainment.
But
I
I
felt that, man, when Stephanie said, "We call it the WWE universe because it's inclusive and we're like a family." And I'm like, "Oh, you want to be Disney so bad." Like,
well, now we know what's going to happen with Vince is he's going to be frozen cryogenically. and, but like, look at DC Universe. Like they knew that couldn't be its own separate thing, and it stopped being its own separate thing, and now it's going to be just DC Universe is just for the
yeah, I canceled my subscription.
just for the comics and
I kind of
the
was gonna keep
DC.
it for that, but like, and I was like, "Damn it,
How
I
often do you
can't.
read comics?
I gotta be financially fucking smart at some point." in my life. Like,
Like with anything, there's going to be these little niche things where if you want the dedicated thing for that, it's going to be less money. And if you want the big old overall package, then it'll be more money. You know, WWE Network, I think, is going to end up being on its own. I don't think it's going to ever be like all the WWE content can be found on Disney Plus because it's just too big of a network of things. Like I'm assuming, for instance, like Hoopla probably doesn't have any of their own original programming. It's probably just we license this stuff and you pay us because we have it all in one big thing. And Shudder is just like here's a collection of horror movies that you can watch.
yeah, I'm looking through it right now. Not loving it.
So if you have nothing that as a streaming service that you offer other than that you are the platform people can access other people's stuff, you don't need to exist. Somebody else will just buy that stuff away from you, take your assets and eliminate them, and you're good. Like, if Crunchyroll is just other people's anime and everything, and you can just have an anime section of Netflix, then just throw it on Netflix. Outside of the fact that if somebody's like, I only want to watch that stuff, so I'm only going to sign up for Crunchyroll because I don't need to sign up for Netflix because I don't watch the other things. Somebody like me, I'm not going to sign up for Crunchyroll. I don't watch anime. But if you add the anime section to Netflix, and I'm already subscribed to Netflix, it's not a bad thing for me. I mean, I don't care. It's one more thing for me to scroll past, but
I would hope that the streaming services don't die off, but I'm also like, we've talked about this off air. I kind of want TV to make a comeback. Like TV is not too bad.
eventually, I think some things are going to have to change like that too, because the big selling point for a lot of TV for a couple decades has been look at all the channels you get, and then you go, yeah, but I don't want any of these channels. Oh, well, we already paid for them, so you have to pay us more money. Well, fuck you. Well, I don't want it. I want my a la carte. I want to pick the 10 channels I watch. Oh, well, you can't. Why not? Oh, because we get to charge you more money if we give you the package that has 100 extra channels. Then you go, well, then fuck you. I won't pay. And then they go, come on. you know, I think eventually that's going to change, but WWE, I can't imagine being a part of like all the WWE stuff gets put on Disney Plus. It's just another company will have their fingers in the WWE and kind of go around like that. Anything else from that report?
Let's see. I don't think so. I think the main talking points were like Vince documentary. Oh, the way it ended was fucking hysterical. Somebody asked them about Trump, and because somebody was like, "Oh, well, Donald Trump said you were somebody he was relying on to, you know, think about opening the country, and what are you looking for to know when we can safely run events again?" And he just sort of said, "We'll run events when we can see that it's fully safe for a full audience and for our talent." And the guy goes to follow up the question, and they go, "No, no, no, that's it, we're done." Call's over. And it's just like this. It was such an abrupt ending that it was almost like, Uh-oh, they mentioned the White House. Move, move, get out of here. Like,
It's like we have only enough time for 3 more questions. All right, Bill, what's your question? So about Trump. All right, that's it. We have no more questions. What, you said you had 3? Yeah, well, we had known. So
uh,
Bill
but it
counts for
was a
3
good
questions.
call. If you're interested in that kind of stuff, you can listen to the whole thing over on their corporate website.
We actually still have 3 more hot tags. Let's talk about the COVID outbreak that almost ruined Halloween Havoc.
Yeah.
Thankfully, it didn't. It seems like the only thing that got in the way was that Indy Hartwell was supposed to interfere with the Candice LeRae and Io Shirai match, but they got around it in the smartest way that they could, which was, we got Halloween Havoc. People are dressed up. Let's have somebody in a mask. Good. That's smart thinking. That's the type of thing that more people should be doing.
Yep.
Because they can just say that that was Indy Hartwell. You have nothing that you can deny that that wasn't Indy Hartwell. For all we know, it was. Now we know that it isn't because they reported that it wasn't, but she could come out and say, yeah, that was me. And I did that or whatever 2 weeks from now after she's done quarantining.
This sucks. One thing I did like about this report, as weird as that is to say, is that they're hosting events. They're still having performance center talents do shows. It's just that the shows are in front of an audience of their peers.
Do you
Uh,
think that that they're in a position where they need to do something with Road Dogg? Because Road Dogg the other day, literally right before this outbreak happened, was going on Twitter about how like your rights about wearing a mask and all this other kind of stuff, and it turned into an argument with Helms, where Helms was trying to say the opposite, and then Road Dogg was getting a little bit annoyed, saying he wasn't really tolerant of views, and then that's a whole nother politics for another day. But
I
it
think we're
seems
getting to the point again where we really need to like crack down on no politics in the workplace. And listen, I'm not saying like I get that. Some of them hear me say that and go, "So you support this?" No, no. But I think the fact that every interaction everywhere turns into this like political breakdown is awful. Now, is Road Dogg a smart man? I don't know, but like he's been putting his ass out there quite a lot this year. So there's that.
there's that whole idea that Shawn Michaels was annoyed at somebody on the team about the whole Black Lives Matter movement,
Yep.
and I'm like, I wonder if that was Road Dogg.
Could have been.
Like, if that's the case, and if it's very much like one-sided politics and whatever, I agree. I think that politics. I don't know. I keep using this phrase. It's not that hard. I also keep using this phrase of where like I'm too. I think I'm too fair and too rational for a lot of things to work. Not to like pat myself on the back, but I'm the type of person who I'm like, oh man, I didn't sleep much last night and I'm tired, but that's nobody else's fault unless it's their fault. So if it's their fault, I'm mad at them. And if not, then I'm not mad. And I know so many people who are like, I'm tired, so I'm going to be bitchy all day, or I'm hungry and I'm going to yell at you. And it's like, did I fucking take the food away from you? No, then what's the problem? And I think that when it comes to politics, it's like, all right, the one side is wrong and the other side is wrong if they have wrong opinions about some things compared to what my opinion is. My opinion might not necessarily be right. It's opinions. I mean, some opinions are definitively right or wrong, and some opinions are just opinions. And if there's a debate about something that there's an actual factual, like, we're leading towards an answer, then that is totally rational to talk about all the time. And if it's just something that's an opinion thing, you shouldn't get so bent out of shape about anything where, like, I mentioned earlier, hot dogs are better than hamburgers. I don't know which one I like better. I mean, it depends on my
Yes, you
mood.
do.
If somebody really wanted, was like, I am adamant that always hamburgers are better, I'd be like, all right, dude, like, I don't fucking care. I'll eat a hot dog if I want. And uh, I don't think that things like that should influence a lot of other things, because if you're in the workplace, your number one priority should always be the work. Like, nobody should be hired for a job for anything other than the fact that they can do that job. It shouldn't be that they are not hired for what they look like or what their upbringing was or what their religion is or whatever. Nobody should be fired for or not hired for or not for that. You know what I mean?
Right.
Unless it's something where it's like, obviously, or we're hiring for a church at a local Catholic place and you're not Catholic. Okay, well then probably you're not going to get the job. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, that's very specific. But if you are like, I've had everybody on Fanboys and everybody on Smark Moment. To me, I don't care what you do. I don't care who you are, as long as you're not causing any problems. And if you're doing stuff that we're doing, So it's like, if Road Dogg thinks these things, he can think these things. He could be right, he could be wrong. But if he doesn't want to, for instance, wear a mask, and if that leads to an outbreak, and then that ruins the company's performance levels, if I were WWE, I'd be like, put the fucking mask on. I don't care what you do at home, but put the fucking mask on and whatever, because that's something that affects it. And then it just becomes an argument of, oh, well, then whatever. Okay, well, then you're fucking fired. Like, if you are ruining something and you're making it harder for us, you are screwing the job up. Don't screw the job up.
Like, we can't say what it was or like who it was, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of implying right there that Road Dogg caused this. I'm not saying that because I don't know who it was or whatever. But like,
But like just in
anybody,
general,
anybody who could be doing that. If you're somebody who's partying and you're like, oh, it doesn't matter, whatever. If I could catch
there's so
you,
many of you that are horrible because you're like you want to be in your own comfort zone and in your own normal and like.
and well, you can't tell me what to do, that kind of thing. And I'd be like, I can tell
But
you
I'm
what
gonna
to
tell you
do.
what to do. But ho 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 ho, you're gonna get in the way of my good time? No, no, sir. Like,
That's where I'm like, that if you affect the business and I'm a businessman, you do what you got to do for the business. And we were talking about this before. Like, I get it if WWE is doing something where they're just sort of like, we are a cutthroat business and this is for business and we're earning money because we are a money thing. I get it. And I think that that should be applicable to everything, where I don't care business wise, like, to do the job. If somebody is like, hey, I voted for so and so, and if I don't agree with them, I'd be like, well, I think you're wrong, but did you fill out those TPS reports? Like, you know? But if it affects the business, it's a different story. And you can't have multiple outbreaks in WWE to the point where they're being investigated as a hotspot, where they might get into some actual real bad trouble.
it won't happen. It
They
just
won't.
won't.
But I mean, in theory, they could. And at the very least, if this is the type of thing that makes people have to quarantine and then they have to change plans and then that affects the creative and then that changes the viewership and all
What
that.
would need to happen, the only way something big would happen, a big systemic change, is if they somehow, if numbers were so bad that they lost Roman again. Imagine losing Roman right now.
Right. Or having some kind of an outbreak that would end up being like half the roster has it right now.
Like Survivor Series is off
Yeah.
because we can't do what we were gonna do. I like you almost want to see it just because it's like I want.
You know what? It's a good analogy for this. It's, you don't want to see it, but you do, because what you want to see is somebody learn their lesson.
Yeah,
And
like
it's
that's what it is though. I
like,
don't even want things to stop.
I don't ever want a little kid, for instance, to get hurt. But sometimes if a little kid is like being a pain in the ass and they like drop their food after bitching and complaining, and then they're like, ah, now I don't have my food anymore. It's like, oh, that's what fucking happens. You know what I mean? Like,
It's like I don't want to see it. It's just like I want this whole back and forth of whether or not this is even an issue anymore to stop because and we're not gonna go too deep into politics because we're already running long as it is. But the fucking president said, "I ended the pandemic. It's over." Okay.
Didn't we just have
Like,
the highest amount of cases?
we literally just had the highest amount. We broke the world record. Like, are we fucking for real?
Nah, it's over.
I like I hate this. You know, one of the worst things, and this kind of goes back to the road dog thing. One of the worst things about the internet being so, accessible to everybody now is the exchange of bizarro theories has never been higher.
You
And
know,
like people just fucking believe whatever because you can find an echo chamber of people
hmm
to believe whatever, so you now accept this shit as fact.
it's the problem with being able to connect people more is more idiots can connect with other idiots, and they can do the type of pat themselves in the back type of crap that would have been a lot harder back in the day because it used to be, I mean, it was never perfect, but it used to be that an idea would spread around more because it was a good idea. And good
And it used
ideas
to be
tended to have
that,
more people talk about it.
and
Now,
these circles of people would be small circles
mhm,
of like, oh, those guys are kind of wacky. They believe, JFK is still alive somewhere on a
yeah,
beach with Elvis.
Elvis and Tupac are on a beach,
And
and
now it's like, oh, half the world believes that the earth is flat. Like, whoa,
I,
wait, whoa,
I
wait
saw a
a
thing
minute,
the other
what
day
the
that said
fuck?
somebody was trying to argue. They said, well, the difference between they were like, well, how come everybody acts like it's perfectly fine that the moon is round and that Mars is round and whatever, but not Earth? And somebody tried, I can't remember exactly what the quote was, but they tried to make the argument, yeah, well, the difference is we've observed that Mars is round, but we haven't observed Earth. And it's like, yeah, we have. There's fucking pictures of it. You can go on Google Maps. Go to Google Earth. Zoom out. There you go. Like, it's kind of there. So the so this outbreak thing is like I don't expect anything to come out of it. I don't expect anybody to learn anything. I don't expect anybody to change anything. I expect the people that are causing the problems to continue to cause the problems, and the people that are behaving to behave and to get screwed over the way that things normally are.
Amen.
And thankfully for them, they didn't have to change much on, from what we could tell at the very least, of Halloween Havoc, because even though we still have to talk about the Twitch thing, let's transition. That's how you say transition. Transition over to the TV talk, and let's go with Halloween Havoc first. Why not? Because this was fun as fuck.
Yeah, this was. I cover AEW, and I completely like to the point where people in the comment section over people were like, you should really focus on one show at a time because you sound clueless. I don't care. Halloween Havoc was a better fucking show. It just was. It held my attention more. It entertained me more. That is the job of the show. It fucking entertained me, and I had a blast.
I did not even watch Dynamite. I didn't even skip through it. I actually deleted it from my DVR by accident because I thought it was the last week's episode, and then I was like, "Oh fuck! All right, well, I don't have any interest in going back because we had the spoilers ahead of time, so I knew what happened."
And like, I'll keep the Dynamite talk brief, but the Omega Pentagon match, it was good. It was fine. I saw some people going, he was really underselling that match. I wasn't underselling the match. It's a fucking paint by numbers match for AEW. Yes, it's a great match, but they all are. Yeah,
I gotta assume there's nothing on here that was so good that if I missed it, I missed it. I missed
you
anything,
know,
like, you know.
all your grandfathers are jazz musicians. They all are. They're all fucking good matches. Okay, like.
So you don't think
mm,
Omega versus Penta is like the new Coke and it'll be around forever?
No, I think it's like the new Coke, and that it's like, wow, look at this. You know what? That wasn't as good as I thought. Okay, back to Coke Classic, and we took it back to the classics with Halloween Havoc. This was so much fun. We
See,
spun the wheel. We made the deal. Like
kids these days, they don't understand what this is all about. The hipping and the hopping, the bipping and the bobbing.
they're hipping and they're hopping and they're kicking and they're flipping. You know what I mean?
I thought Halloween Havoc was a ball. We started off with Johnny Gargano beating Damian Priest to win the North American Championship. I was
Love
surprised
it.
about that. In a Devil's Playground match, which was
Which
a
was
false count anywhere match.
did not love that. Thought that was
Yeah.
unfortunate.
I'm not a big fan of when they just go, this is a whatever, and you go, that's the same thing. Like the Extreme Rules,
Like
no
you could
DQ,
have
no
just
holds barred.
literally been like, "Hey kids, trick or street fight," and we would have all understood.
Right. But they had a cool little moment in there with a person that was masked helping out. I don't know if that was supposed to be Indy Hartwell too. I don't think so, right?
Austin Theory is my guess.
Hmm. I mean, if you go by the build, it's certainly not like Bronson Reed. So,
What are you saying, Tony?
I don't think that was a colossal ghost face.
Are you saying that Bronson Reed is fat?
You know what's funny about Ghostface? I've seen bits and pieces of Scream, but I am not a real big fan of it. I'm a huge, huge fan of the first Scary Movie and the third Scary Movie. The rest of them suck.
So
But
you associate Ghostface with Scary Movie?
I associate that with Scary Movie more so. But also, I did not know for years, I'm talking like up until a couple years ago, that was based off of the Scream painting. Am I teaching you another thing? Is this like the fourth thing this year that I've said that? This is like the Acom Razor, Occam's Razor,
This is like
the
the third thing that he's
yeah.
meant to do this year. Where I'm just like, oh yeah, I'm a moron. You know, was it toadstools or mushrooms? I
Toadstools.
didn't know that. Like,
There you go. Yeah, look at the Edvard Munch Scream painting, and that's what it's based
wow.
off of. Yeah, I've always liked that painting, and I never understood it, and I guess you never understood it either. So maybe I'm not that bad.
I guess like, yeah, you just don't think about it, but yeah,
Hmm.
like now that you can see it, I can see it.
You'll never be able
Now
to
that,
unsee it now. Yeah.
yeah, because now that like you put that in white, and yeah,
For anybody else that did not know that, here's my little the more you know. Boo-doo-doo-doo. Um,
wow, man.
so maybe it's Austin Theory, maybe it's just supposed to be Indy Hartwell again. I don't know for sure, but she's trying to help out the Garganos. It would make the most sense.
I'm mad that Candace didn't get the win.
Yeah, she didn't. Io Shirai retained in a tables, ladders, and scares match.
Okay, so like
Which
I'm mad that it wasn't tables, ladders, and swords, because like I was looking forward to just like here's a fucking sword.
I mean, you know how I feel about how a tables, ladders, and chairs match is literally a ladder match, and I don't know why they give it another name because it doesn't need another name.
This was fine. I enjoyed this. It was like I'll go as far as to say this was like one of the best matches I've seen in a while.
I thought that the matches were great. Santos Escobar beat Jake Atlas. Non-title match. I don't know why they needed to make it a non-title match if Escobar won. It could have just been for the title and he could have just retained. That'd have been a little bit more interesting, I think.
I agree.
Rhea Ripley beat Raquel Gonzalez.
Great match.
They had a good match, yeah. Nothing gimmicky about it, but they didn't need to. We had other gimmicks throughout the night. Tommaso Ciampa cut a promo about how these NXT stars are entitled. He called Velveteen Dream a dead man, and they're going to fight next week. As
I
are
loved this.
the promo.
There was something about the promo when he said, I can't even recognize NXT anymore, that I'm like, yeah,
Yeah, makes sense.
yeah, I agree.
Ember Moon's fighting Dakota Kai next week.
Fine with it.
We got this great segment with Pat McAfee. He came out. He explained in one of these. I mean, it's one of these things where I'm like, God damn, somebody on the writing team. I don't know if they write for NXT, if they write for Raw, if they write for SmackDown, if they write whatever, or maybe it's multiple people. But some people on this writing team, they get it. And they put stuff out there and they go with logic and they make sense.
So much logic that it almost hurts because you're not used to it.
it almost hurts because not only are you not used to it, but it hurts because you see the other things and you go, why is that other person getting paid when this other one deserves more money? Because this person whoever it was their idea. Maybe it was Pat McAfee himself. Maybe it was a writer. Maybe it was Shawn Michaels. Who knows? Somebody had got the directive, and I'm so thankful that they did. That he explained he's the one who hired Rich Holland, and the car was a situation where Rich Holland said, "Hey, I'm looking to buy a new car," and Pat McAfee was like, "I'll get you whatever car you want. I'm rich. You take out Adam Cole, you fuck up the Undisputed Era, you got your car." He did it. He got his car. Rich Holland gets injured. He gets injured by Danny Burch and Oney Lorcan, specifically more so Oney Lorcan. So Rich Holland out of the mix. Pat McAfee says, I gotta get somebody to do the things that Rich Holland wasn't able to do. I'm gonna get the guy who injured the guy who I got to do that. He used the exact same line that we were talking about. And Rich Holland wanted a car. Danny Burch and Oney Lorcan, they can't be paid off, but what can they get paid off with? The NXT tag team titles, because that's something they
But
weren't able to get.
but better yet, they turned him down because they were babyface.
They turned them down for it, yeah. And
Because they
then they
didn't want to do it that
lose.
way.
They lose the tag title match, the number one contenders match, and then it's
And
like,
then they're like, fuck
fuck.
the Undisputed Era, let's go.
Right.
Oh, and
So
he even said, and then I called them first. They turned me down because they're nice boys. They called me back saying, all right, let's
yeah,
talk.
that's the heel turn, is them calling him back, not them turning on a situation that includes Breezango, because Breezango, they're just extra. And that's not to say like, oh, they suck and they would push aside. No, no, no. They are expendable collateral damage in a completely different scenario. The only reason why Pat McAfee screwed over Breezango is to get the titles for the guys that are going to back him up. It's not a thing against Breezango. They just happen to have the thing that they need. So you know what? You take them out. That's so fucking good. That's exactly what it should be. And then they make it even cooler because Kyle O'Reilly comes out. He's the only one that's not injured and messed up at this point. He's got a chair. He's backed up by Pete Dunne, which I'm like, how did he fly out? Like, he was
Oh,
able to
we'll talk
fly
about
between
that.
them. I just assumed that the travel restrictions were still going on, but I guess if you
Nah,
quarantine afterward, you're probably fine. And
he's good to go, and we'll talk about AEW in a minute, but somebody else is good to go.
And Pete Dunne's there. He's, okay, well, you know what? We don't have the Undisputed Era, but we got Pete Dunne. He's a badass and whatever like that. And he fucks over Kyle O'Reilly. And I'm like, yes! Like, Pete Dunne is so much better as a heel. And I didn't see this coming. And you know what? Pete Dunne fills the Rich Holland role. And Danny Burch and Oney Lorcan are the tag team role. And Pat McAfee is the leader of the bunch. And there you go. If we get War Games, those are the four against the Undisputed Era. You got Cole and McAfee, Dunn and O'Reilly, Strong and Fish versus Lorcan and Birch. How fucking perfect is that?
It's going to get even better next week when Pete Dunne says, I didn't forget that Roderick Strong fucked me over to join you guys.
Well, he would say more so, I didn't forget that Roderick Strong fucked me over because that's everything monotone. But yeah, like, he has a reason to be upset about that. And Pete Dunne is not the biggest babyface in the world. He only got to be a babyface because he was just so good that everybody was just cheering him and everything. But he is not an inherently babyface character. He is a guy
And
that would totally just be like, no, 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 fuck you. I'm gonna do my own thing. I'm gonna get paid. I'm gonna win matches. I'm gonna beat the shit out of people. I'm gonna snap your fingers. And
and those three are fucking lunatics and
yeah,
strong style fighters. So good.
Dunn's he's got his weird stuff. Lorcan's a goddamn madman. He's always just like,
Birch is
wah!
just gonna hit you hard. Like,
Now can we get Lorcan with the 1, Birch with the 2, and Pete Dunne holding up the 3, and then
only if McAfee holds up a 4.
4, and then there become the new 4 horsemen.
I love that.
I
This
loved
was
this
so
so
good.
much. Like,
And like I knew Dunn was turning because like of course,
I'll say it, I
babyface
didn't. They got me.
babyface comes out with a weapon. And but like I didn't care because I immediately just went, oh good, Pete Dunne's back. And then I went, oh good, War Games.
War Games. I didn't think that he was going to turn. I was totally swept up in the, oh fuck, he could travel kind of
Yeah.
thing. So what is the travel situation like that? Because Pac is going to be back now.
Mm-hmm. And that warms my heart.
I'm
If Pac
assuming
can travel and Dunn can travel and like the travel restrictions are done enough to where we can get people on the side of the world that we need them on, please. Like,
we know the Bollywood boys came back. We know Robert Roode came back, but I was assuming that that was easier with Canada, more so than, over the sea, across the pond, whatever you want to call it. But that's cool. Like, fuck yeah. And I kind of assumed with Tony Storm that maybe she moved, but I guess not. She
yeah.
might not have had to. She could have just been like, hey, you know what? I'll just fly out a little bit earlier or something. But that was so good. And like, we haven't even talked about the other thing too, because we had another thing that was multiple parts throughout the night.
Oh yeah.
The Haunted House of Terror match starring Dexter Loomis and Cameron Grimes.
Cameron Grimes, gotta say
Fucking,
it with emphasis.
I love
Oh,
Cameron Grimes now. Like, this transition over a short time frame, it's only been a couple months of me being like, I hate this dude. Like, when he was fighting for the North American title, that wasn't that long ago. And I'm like, I don't want it to be him. I don't want it to be Cameron Grimes. And at this point, I said it in our group chat when this is happening. I'm like, Cameron Grimes says out loud, I hate rednecks.
yeah.
And I'm like, give him the belt. Just give him
Moment
some,
of moment of the moment of the night almost. Michael Hayes shows up.
get in
Cameron
a
Grimes
van driven
goes,
by a zombie.
"Can you help me?" He's like, "Oh no, man, I was down on Bad Street. You know what they call Bad Street? Because the further down the block you went, the badder it got." And he goes, "I hate rednecks." And gets in the back of the van. By the way, for all the wrong reasons, but I'm gonna call it out anyway. William Regal calmly going, "No, no, there, there's a nice van here for you." It's just like, wow. If that doesn't get clipped for all the wrong reasons, then I don't know what will.
So he gets sent to this random house in the Florida area. Um, and it's filled with zombies. And typical like dumb movie moment type of thing. There's a silhouette of a woman in a shower, and he starts taking his fucking vest and hat off because he's just like, hey, I'm just gonna pop in the shower. It's like, dude, if it was creepy enough for Bond to do that in Skyfall, it's way creepier if you do that. Maybe don't hop in the shower with strange women. I don't think they're gonna appreciate it, but that's another here nor there. Um, and it's a zombie instead, and it's just like that was funny. Uh, the zombies, I did recognize Brianna Brandy just
I only
because of her
recognized
hair.
Anthony Green because of that damn mustache.
Yeah, after you had pointed him out, I went back and I checked and I could notice him. He was in the ring for when they went into the ring part. Um, but he and Brandy were the only two. I couldn't tell some of the other ones. The women in particular were very like they were selling the fuck out of that. They were bouncing around all over the place and all contorted like Scarlet Witch and stuff. So they were doing a good job. I mean,
And then, to his credit, man, Cameron Grimes. I'm Cameron Grimes. You better stop. It's just like, okay.
and Loomis wins that after after Cameron Grimes runs back to the arena. Just runs back. He wins it in the ring, submission, a whole bunch of zombies and smoke in the ring or whatever. I'm like, this is goofy and stupid and silly, and I love it.
It worked because they didn't sell it as serious. Shotzi was so in her element, doing like the B movie.
She was
Uh,
pulling an Elvira type of thing there, if you know what I mean.
yeah, and like she, first of
Kids,
all, she looks.
if you're not of age, kids, don't Google Elvira or Matt Riddle apparently. But
First, Shotzi Blackheart is great in a lot of ways,
love Shotzi.
and this was perfect for her. And then, like, that's some dude from some band. I think their name is The Silencer or something. Played Damian Priest out to the ring.
It's
They
pretty
had
cool.
Poppy show up for Io Shirai. They treated it like it was a big fucking deal.
This could have been if they didn't do NXT Takeover
It should have
31,
been NXT Takeover Halloween Havoc.
and they could have just done it like
Throw
this week.
throw the Balor match and the Swerve match on here, and that's a perfect takeover.
If you replace the Escobar and Atlas match with the Balor one, for instance,
Mm-hmm.
there you go. Because this was totally a takeover. Like,
And Balor could have done the demon, and it would have been fine
oh
because
god,
Halloween.
yeah, man, that would have worked.
And I told you 2 months ago, NXT Takeover Halloween Havoc. You didn't believe me. You should have believed me.
Well, I just assumed that they weren't going to do takeover, but I didn't know that they'd do a takeover on TV, basically, because this was so much fun. Easily the best show of the week, no question about it. And another thing that I thought was fun, Vic Joseph is dressed up as Waldo, and Wade Barrett's there, and he's like, "Hey," Vic Joseph is like, "Hey, well, yeah, I'm dressed up because it's Halloween. You're not dressed up," and he goes, "I am dressed up as my favorite superstar, Bad News Barrett."
Yeah.
He just brings out the gavel. I'm like, that's great. Why not? Wade Barrett's awesome too. Big fan of Wade Barrett. Vote for him for the Champsgiving, everybody. Actually, I don't know who's winning right now. If he's towards wow, okay. Speaking of the devil, or speaking of the bad
Is
news,
he winning?
Wade Barrett has more votes than anybody right now. Good for Wade. Nice.
That's some good news.
That is good news,
I
Barrett.
mean, first of all, like, you should vote for Razor because like that's the proper answer to the question. But like, good for Wade Barrett.
Razor better be in that top 16. I'll say that.
I agree.
Looks like he probably is. Wade Barrett right now, more votes than anybody. He currently has 63, and the next highest up is Owen Hart at 56.
Well,
So that's a gap. Wade Barrett fucking stealing it. I mean, this is qualifying round, so that doesn't matter. But
people were here for it.
If this continues, Wade Barrett's the number 1 seed. Pretty neat. It's not neat. NXT UK. We had Aoife Valkyrie beats Danny Luna. Eddie
I
Dennis.
watched this for the first time in like 2
years.
years.
Yeah, there you go.
And first of all, Aoife, that name I never knew was pronounced as Aoife.
Oh, totally. It's spelled Aoife. So
Yeah.
that's just I've never heard the name in my entire life before. I was when they announced that she was on the roster, I'm like, I cannot fucking talk about her until they say what her name is, because I can't imagine that this is Aoife.
She was good.
She's solid.
Didn't hate it.
They had that. They had Eddie Dennis has a full blown stable at this point, because they did like a crappier version of the Pete Dunne thing, where Dennis had South Wales subculture in the ring, and they set up a whole thing with kind of implying that maybe they attacked each other over the past 2 times, or that Eddie Dennis had been the one that attacked both of them. Well, Pretty Deadly is with Eddie Dennis for sure now. They were teasing that before.
These motherfuckers are some pretty looking dudes. I do not watch NXT UK, so I see them out there with Eddie Dennis, and I just go, who are these two Fabio twins? Like, these two, if there's a Sexy Superstars tournament, they deserve to be somewhere in that mix.
They were I think they were in the qualifying round for the last time around. I don't think that they had not been a part of it, but since nobody knows who they are, nobody voted for them. But they're 2 handsome chaps.
They really are.
Hence
not
the Pretty Deadly.
People who joined the stable afterwards, though.
No, because those 2 people that turned on Flash Morgan Webster and Mark Andrews are the Hunt, Primate, and Primate Jay Melrose, who's just Primate, and Wild Boar Mike Hitchman, who is Wild Boar. Just
good
no Mike
name
Hitchman.
For them. Good names
for the Hunt.
Because they ugly.
Yeah, Wild Boar and Primate are heels now. So many heel turns. We got the Pete Dunne heel turn. We got the Hunt turns heel. We got Tonight we got a heel turn on SmackDown with Jey
Is it?
Uso,
Oh yeah, we did.
which implies that Jimmy Uso is now a heel as well, which also implies that potentially that Naomi might be. I don't know what's going on with that because she's on a different roster. So, you know, but Piper Niven just says, "Hey, even though I've
Kaylee Ray.
already fought for the championship multiple times, I still want to fight for the championship," which is like that's fucking nice. Gallus might be faces now. Funny enough,
I'm with it.
they were sort of faces with the Imperium thing, but then they went back to being heels, and now they might be baby faces. Jordan
Listen,
Devlin's
if I can
still
get over the whole coffee thing, like I like Gallus.
more of a tea guy.
Yeah.
I don't like either. Iced tea though. Talk about brisk. Yeah. All right.
Oh, iced tea is my favorite drink on the planet.
Jordan Devlin's back. He beat Levi
Yeah.
Muir.
That was a thing that happened I felt very uncomfortable with. Let me put it to you like this. WWE this week did a lot of things that basically said, we are moving on, we are moving forward. Stop bothering us about this past summer.
Yeah, kind of. They advertised a new superstar, Rampage Brown.
Yeah.
Who apparently is not a brand new superstar or anything. He's somebody who's like a legend that I just have never known for my entire life.
He's currently the Revolution Pro tag champ with one of the dudes from New Japan. So that's fun.
Yeah, if you have any suggestions of like, is Rampage Brown awesome or not, drop a comment below. I just don't know. And Walter retained the NXT UK title over Ilya Dragunov, whereas they say,
good
Ilya
match.
Dragunov.
This match, go watch this match.
Hard hitting, lots of near falls.
Deserved a crowd.
Yeah, this would have been good for Takeover Dublin when they originally were going to do it. That would have been good. This was a good match. Made Dragunov look good, even in a loss. He didn't tap, but he lost by like referee stoppage, like submission kind of scenario. So he gets knocked out, that's not like the best case scenario, but he doesn't tap. So he looks good. But
this
Walter's
was one of
the
those
better
matches that like it made me watch the show. It's like I sat through the 2 hours for this match and it's worth it.
Yeah, I mean, you're not going to get anything super positive out of like the Jordan Devlin one for the most part, but this one is something that's worth checking out if you don't.
I'll give you one positive from the Jordan Devlin thing. He did the Texas cloverleaf and they called it the 4-leaf clover. And I'm like, yep.
Yeah, I like
appreciate that.
That should be that, and that's good that that's a finisher for him. He's Irish, so why not? So that was not the best show, whatever, but they had a really good match on it. And let's talk about Monday Night Raw. We got the confusing situation going on with some things here. All over the place. I don't know how many times I changed Survivor Series, but Survivor Series, they eventually settled on the idea that it is going to be just Raw versus SmackDown, and it's not going to include NXT. It is going to have champion versus champion matches, which I'm going to put a pin in this discussion until we do our predictions. But why? I'll just say it. Why the fuck did you put the belt on Randy Orton to have Randy versus Roman? It makes no sense.
I think because they must really, really, really want to avoid Drew versus Roman until Mania, or like until a Mania at some point.
I think that that's going to be a hindrance. I think that if they stick with all the other champions, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense either, because Asuka versus Sasha, we saw it a bunch of times. Sami Zayn versus Bobby Lashley. Who's the fucking babyface on that?
Well, hold on. Let's go with Lashley and Zayn real quick. If they don't bring back Lashley's sisters, you're doing it wrong. Okay.
Well, that made me start thinking about something. Is Bobby Lashley not only the babyface for that match, but is the Hurt Business babyface right now?
They are. I think they are.
Because they've been feuding with the heel team and looking like pretty solid guys, but they bully people backstage. Like they bullied the dude that it's like, hey, you used our bathroom or whatever. But then again, it's like, who fucking cares? He's a nobody, Maybe they're kind of like Stone Cold used to fucking stun JR,
Yeah.
So I got a feeling they might be babyface now, but just kind of like they never really did like a full blown turn.
I think they are, and I don't think they need to. I
And Lashley will whoop the shit out of Sami Zayn, I'm
I
assuming.
can't remember if I said this on this podcast, but I think it's a mistake that one of the matches for Survivor Series isn't Retribution versus the Hurt Business. Losing team has to disband, and you just fucking
Just get rid of Retribution at this
yeah.
point. That'd be great. Because apparently their big decision of what to do next with him is to make them pretend that they have seizures in the ring.
Well, hold on, we'll get there.
Let's talk about it,
Um,
because it's like Mia Yim is having like a seizure, and the referee, of course, is like, Mia, like, because you're Mia. We know that. Everybody knows that, but you're not supposed to know it. And then they try to change it to like she's possessed.
she was possessed.
Dumb shit. I hate it.
I'm trying to pull up the Fightful Select report.
I think I had tweeted it. I don't know if I tweeted it or if I said it in a chat. Mia Yim deserves so much better. Like, they all deserve better. Mustafa Ali deserves better. Dominic Dijakovic deserves better. But like, Mia Yim has been doing nothing but standing on the outside of the ring, watching her dumbass group lose.
So whatever this was, Fightful Select reports whatever Vince initially wanted, they all vetoed because it was not in good taste.
So they were probably going with a full blown seizure. And then they probably twisted it to, why don't we have her do that kind of thing and we'll say that she was acting like she was possessed. That probably
Like,
was the compromise.
you think it was like, hey, here, take some Alka-Seltzer and foam at the mouth and everything?
Probably. If that's the case, yeah. They probably had her pretend to have a seizure. And they were like, dude, come on, we can't do that. It's going to cause problems. And then it was like, fine, then you do everything about the seizure, but we can call it a possession.
Well, maybe it was supposed to be more of a possession. Like,
Like Papa Shango comes out.
yeah, like maybe she was supposed to like legit convulse and like be possessed. I don't know, but for wrestlers to speak up directly to Vince and say, "I'm not doing that," must have been really bad.
I don't know what the whole situation is with that, but Retribution blows, and I'm just not a fan.
Yeah,
Um, we had a weird scenario where Gulak and Tozawa were tagging up against the Lucha House Party,
this
despite
sucks.
despite the fact that they've been feuding with R-Truth, and R-Truth came out and it became a whole thing. It was just a nothing thing. I didn't like it.
Retire the damn belt already.
I'd be fine with that. Like, they've done everything that would be funny with it, pretty much.
Except for our truth saying, which pops me every time, the 24/7 7-Eleven I-95 South European Television Championship. Like,
It's a lot better than the what was it, Flight
the
747,
the
911, whatever.
9/11 747.
Jesus. Um, they had that whole scenario. They had a little tea party where poor little Ramblin' Rabbit drank some arsenic.
I
Didn't
like this.
die, so Bray Wyatt just beat the shit out of him anyway.
I like this. Because you know what? If you're going to do knockoff Joker and Harley, Alexa Bliss was way more dialed in this week than she was last week. And I think she's finding it. And I like it.
What do we got
They
here? We got
will
a
undoubtedly let me down again because it's Bray Wyatt.
yeah.
But I like it.
We had a scenario where two of the actually no, it was three of the people for the Survivor Series teams were established. AJ Styles beat Jeff Hardy, and Jeff Hardy took a guitar shot. Keith Lee beat Elias, and Elias took a guitar shot. And Sheamus beat Matt Riddle by pinfall in a very, very good match. That was cool.
So next week it's going to be, this was announced when we first started, a guitar and a pole match. Yes, really.
They announced that?
Yep.
But they put that out when we were doing the hot tags?
Yep.
Guitar on a pole, huh?
And it's going to be New Day versus the Hurt Business in a non-title match. And it's going to be Nia Jackson, Shayna Baszler against Dana and Mandy. Non-title.
Hmm. Well, because Dana and Mandy were approached with this whole idea. Well, let's put it this way. You know, how we're having qualifying matches to determine who gets on the team for Survivor Series, and it makes perfect sense, especially because it's supposed to be the best of the best against each other. So let's make sure that the best people win.
Mm-hmm.
Should we do that for the women, or should we just go, hey, it's these people, because that's what they did.
I don't know, man. Equality,
I
you
thought
know?
that was dumb. I did think it was funny though that Nia Jax was like, "Well, here's my list because I'm clearly going to be the team captain," and Shayna Baszler was like, "No, I'm going to be the team captain, so here's my list." And Nia pointed out that she wasn't on Shayna's list, and she's like, "Well,
I,
as team captain, I got to do what I think's right." Like, I liked that little
I
dynamic.
appreciate their dynamic, though.
Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville, or Sonya Deville, I'm so used to saying that. Mandy Rose and Dana Brooke were approached as like, hey, we'd like you to join the team as long as you follow our directions because we're, fucking team captains. And then they decided that they are going to have a match to determine who gets the final spot. And it was between Peyton Royce, Nikki Cross, who has a new theme song, which does not fit
Awful.
her at all. She
Mm-mm.
has to stop doing the crazy girl entrance if she's going to have that because it doesn't fit. And Lacey Evans, and the winner of the match, Lana, who got put through a table again.
For the sixth time.
Yeah. So
So one of my pet peeves here was that Pat Buck was now out there with Adam Pearce, and they're both just doing this whole "we're the WWE official." Just become GMs, for
well,
fuck's sake.
we knew that that was going to be the case. That WWE could not go too long without general managers because they use that crutch too much.
But like, I think this stuff has proven that you need that character. You just don't need them to be an outright heel.
Exactly. You don't need them to be in stories because we used to have Gorilla Monsoon pop up, and he
Jack
wasn't.
Tunney is like everybody's favorite example.
Jack Tunney would come out and he's like, "Hey, you know what? The Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels match, it has to continue. That's all you need." You blame it on that when things happen. Maybe you don't book yourselves into a corner where you're saying, what rational person would ever hire retribution to be a part of the roster if they want to ruin it instead of just seeking legal action? Don't do those kind of things. Make it something where it's like, something that would make a lot more sense. But you need the people like the Adam Pearces and the Pat Bucks to be the people that are saying we are representative of this and we are calling the shots for such and such.
Match itself for the women was fine. I don't usually pick on this, but I got the vibe of like a lot of blondes, a lot of similar looking people on this Raw women's roster.
They got Mandy, Dana, Lana,
Lana,
Lacey.
Lacey, Peyton. I was like, lots of same going on here.
Mhm.
Uh, the 1-2 punch, Tony, would have been Peyton's on the one team, Billy's on the other, and
Yeah.
somehow they both fucking miss.
You would have thought that that would have made sense, right? Yeah.
It's a layup, for God's sake.
And not only do they both lose their matches, because Billy Kay on SmackDown tonight lost a match that also included Natalia and Bianca Belair. Bianca is on the team, and the two of them, Natty and Billy, you can assume are not, even though they might still get a chance to win like a second chance battle royal or something like that. But you packed up everybody on Raw, so Peyton can't be on it. So there you go. You already lost it,
But
even if Billy
see,
Kay is a
that's
part of it.
ridiculous because Peyton is doing some good work, and like this could have been a showcase for her. And but no, it's gonna be a spot for Lana to go through her 10th table.
Yeah, pretty much. Which Vince thinks is funny. So there you go. We have that Drew McIntyre and The Miz are somewhat feuding. Drew McIntyre is still kind of feuding with Randy Orton. Randy Orton is feuding with Bray Wyatt. I guess so he's going to get a title match at some point
I like
before.
the ending. If we're gonna, the Miz match was what it was. Miz lost, as most Money in the Bank holders do. Um, I liked the ending of the show. I liked Randy on a moment of bliss. I like the fact that they're like, "Hey, wait a minute, you burned down my house. I didn't forget." And I like that Drew McIntyre, even though he comes across like a sore loser, I like that he's just not done with Randy. But he does come off like a sore loser after stabbing somebody in the eye.
He's like, you beat me fair and square, so fuck you. Here goes your eyeball. Which somebody on the team, the writing team, really likes this eyeball thing. So we spent months talking about Rey Mysterio's eyes.
Lots of eyeballs.
Somebody on the Raw writing team is just like, how about he fucks his eyeball up? And they're like, God damn it, Jimmy, or something. Like, what's with you and the eyeballs? Well, you did turn down my Batman ideas.
Yeah, exactly.
I got an idea. How about Batman rips out his eyeballs? And they're like, fuck.
That's how Retribution will end.
Yeah, that's. They just all get their eyeballs plucked out. And then Vince is like, I know. And then afterward, they have a seizure. And you're like, Jesus Christ. That was Raw. Confusing in some ways. I don't know where they're going with this Drew McIntyre thing. I don't know if this is going to be some kind of a thing where it's like, we got you. Drew McIntyre beats Randy Orton and he fights Roman Reigns. And that's a big title change.
Triple threat at TLC.
And then Roman fights, or Randy fights Bray Wyatt as an extra match on the card. Or if they go with a triple threat at TLC, or if Randy Orton fights just Bray Wyatt at TLC. But I don't think it's a good idea to have Randy Orton versus Bray Wyatt at all.
It'll be better than some of the other things Bray Wyatt's done.
I have no faith at this point, and I have no faith that turning Bray Wyatt babyface would work, and I don't think that he should be heel versus heel. I don't like it. I don't like anything about it.
Fair enough.
On SmackDown, we got some great stuff, some okay stuff, some awful stuff. Kevin Owens beat Dolph Ziggler. He earns a spot on the SmackDown Survivor Series team. Street Profits beat Cesaro and Shinsuke Nakamura. You know what I got really tired of writing out tonight? So-and-so cut a promo about how they are going to win their match at Survivor Series.
And they also cut the same promo. It's because I'm blank and blankety blank.
Street Profits are better than New Day.
Street Profits are up and we want the smoke. Because I'm the boss, the blueprint, and I'm the champion.
Sami Zayn, about better than... he's the champion of all the continents, so he's better than Bobby Lashley. I'm just like, all right, I get it. Shut up. This kind of thing. Natty's like, I'm the boat, so I should be the best.
That was legitimately a funny segment.
I liked how Billie Kay, her big thing was, you see that I work well in teams.
Yeah, and she's like, first of all, she's like, I have a headshot and a resume, and you'll see here that I specialize in teamwork. And then she does the "you gotta be joking me." Natty came across like, a clueless person when talking to Bianca. I enjoyed that. And the match was shitty, but the right person won.
They had Corey Graves sits down with Lars Sullivan.
Bad.
And they introduced the idea that he's been called a freak since he was a little kid, and he did something to the other kids that were laughing at him.
The Tracy brothers. And
got banned from school, so...
Real bad.
Yeah, I don't like it. Pull that thing from the horse from Ren and Stimpy. No, sir, I didn't like it.
Listen, I know I try not to dip too much into their personal stuff, but given the personal stuff, the fact that you're kind of going, Lars gets laughed at and is weird, and he kind of is psychotic about it. It sends a weird vibe.
I think you could get away with a vibe that you were hoping for by just twisting a couple little things around. I liked when he said, like Lars Sullivan, is that the name that I should use or something? And he's like, oh, what? You don't want to call me the freak? I liked that because he's acknowledging, like, I fucking heard you. You're calling me a freak, asshole. And Corey Graves was like, he pivoted as, well, that's because, it's the freakish things you do in the ring or whatever, which is a total bullshit answer, but that's okay because he's a bullshitter. And Lars is like, I'll accept that. Fine. Like, I won't kill you based off of that. It's at least We'll go with that.
If I was gonna with this one promo, I'd be like, all right, Lars, we're gonna either we're gonna move you down or call him up, but we're pairing you with Dexter Loomis. And call it a day. You're a tag team now.
Freak show.
Yep. There it is.
I think if they could have just cut out the whole kid thing, or maybe twisted it a little bit, maybe it could have been like, I've been called a freak my whole life or whatever like that. And you're right, I can do some pretty freakish things in the ring. So maybe I'm going to take those freakish things out on everybody who thinks that I'm a freak. I think that would work a lot better than like, I was a kid and I was bullied. I turned out like this. And that's,
It's a
yeah,
weird message to send. I'm sorry.
it's the type of thing you shouldn't have to worry about. But the way that people are these days, it kind of excuses people that do horrible things based off of that. And we know at this point, based off of just psychology, that if you are like, you're raised by like really shitty parents and you get bullied as a kid or whatever, that you tend to turn out kind of damaged because you are damaged. That's how it works. Like you were damaged socially and you have something you need to vent. And some people vent it in unhealthy ways. I don't think we should really be making a character that you're supposed to be kind of sympathetic for when he's a heel and he's doing those kind of things.
It's kind of like we're going to talk about the Aaliyah thing. It's good in the sense that it's a realistic story. It's bad in the sense that I don't know if this is a story you want to shine a light on right now.
Yeah. Well, the Aaliyah shit is just awful.
Okay, all right. I'm gonna kind of talk out of both sides of my mouth here. On the one hand,
Says on the left or the right side.
this is the left. Let's call it the positive side. It's the positive side. This storyline has been clearly well thought out and committed to because they just don't want to drop it. um,
No, no, no. You can't say it's been clearly well thought out. This has been
I
going on for months, and
I
it's
I
just
think
let's do one element of it each week.
I think that they know where they want to go though.
I don't think so. I think that they're doing this on the fly. I hate it. I hate everything
They
about it. This is on
all
my
right.
list of worst stories for the year.
But what I'm saying is, and you'll probably agree with me here, I don't hate it for the reasons other people do. I'm
Uh,
not bothered by the fact that Aaliyah is a 19-year-old girl kissing a 32-year-old on television. It doesn't bother me.
the bad acting bothers me.
Yes,
The fact that it's going on for so long
she's a
bothers me.
fucking. I don't want to curse. I'm gonna try not to curse here. She's not a great actress. She's
She's a fucking bad
not.
actress. I'll say.
She's not a great actress. She strikes me as like she's Rey Mysterio's daughter, for real. So she probably wants to be on TV. And she strikes me as a kid who, whether we like this or not, children, doesn't matter, grew up watching the more storyline elements of women's involvement in WWE and said, I can do that. I kind of want to be in a storyline, Dad. Okay, sweetie. Fine. She's in the storyline. But to have her say, I love him, and then have her, you know, kiss him, really, it it just sent out a weird message. Again, I know I said that about the Lars thing, but it does. It sends out a really weird message. Like I said with the Jordan Devlin stuff, I got the feeling that this week WWE was just like, fuck it. We don't care anymore. Like, we're going to do the things that we need to do. And if you have such an issue that, like, you're going to complain about this, you can get over it later. That's the vibe I got from WWE.
I hate how long this has been going on. I hate the bad acting. I hate that every week it's just basically let's talk and then we brawl. If they have matches, they've had a million matches, so it doesn't matter. And what's the end game of this? Murphy is either good and he's kind of aligned with Dominic and maybe they're a tag team, or look at that, haha, we got you. Murphy's been working with Rollins this whole time and we just converted Aaliyah. I don't fucking care. Like, I just want it to end. I have no positive outcome I can think of that comes out of this that makes me feel like it's been worth it.
If this ends at TLC with Dominic and Ray beating Murphy and Seth for the SmackDown tag titles. Are you good with it?
No.
You're just ready to see it end.
Why take the titles off of the Street Profits just to have them
Well, to
do
be
that?
fair, they need to add some dimensions to their act.
What, Street
Street
Profits?
Profits,
Yeah.
yeah.
But I don't think that they should drop them to Rollins and whatever at this point, because they have the whole split with Murphy and everything. I think that they need to lose it to the Usos. But
That's true too, actually, yeah.
and then I think that Dominic and Ray need to beat
Ray
the
can beat the
Usos.
Usos. I do care with that. Alright, so never mind what I said. I just want to see Dominic and Ray get the belts. I I do think that they're in a holding pattern with Seth because they know he's leaving, but they also know he's a big star. So they're just kind of biding their time.
This whole thing, I hate it so much. And it's the melodrama crap that is like, I don't know how you can have one writer that's writing this garbage and you can have another one that's doing the Jey Uso and Roman Reigns thing, because it's just so much better.
Different levels. But this one's supposed to be like a bad telenovela, whereas the other one's supposed to be like a mafia movie.
See, I don't think this is supposed to be bad. I think it just is. Like,
I think it's supposed to be bad.
if it's supposed to be bad, they're doing a bad job of making it bad. They're doing a good job of making it shit. Like, if you wanted to make it like a telenovela type of soap opera thing, have the dumb zoom in angles and the bum 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 kind of shit, you know? And I'd hate it still, but at least then I'd be like, oh, they're trying to mock that. I get it. Not for me, but I think it's just flat out bad. Whereas like the Roman thing, Roman is very much mafia, and I love it.
It's the opening promo of this show where Jey Uso is just in tears saying, I hate you. I hate you. How could you do me like this? You know, what is wrong with you? And he's still not taking his eyes off the title, which is an amazing detail. And Roman is calmly like, I know you hate me now,
Yeah.
but that's okay. You'll understand later.
Look, you gotta do what you gotta do. I'm the head of the table. I fucking get it. But shut up and eat your medicine. Like that kind of thing. Like,
And
not eat
sure
your
enough,
medicine, take your medicine.
uh,
They just eat it, chomping on some pills.
Jey Uso goes in there with
Daniel Bryan.
Daniel Bryan, thank you, and tears it up in a good match. And at the end of the night, Roman walks in that ring, and Jey Uso, to my surprise, goes, I'm with you, I understand. Beats the shit out of Daniel Bryan.
And Roman Reigns leaves being like, all right.
I won. Like,
Now that we got that settled, kind of thing. Like, so good. So fucking good.
I would watch a full on movie of Roman, the Usos, and the families. You know, the high chiefs, the eldest. Like, this is so good.
Not a big fan of the Sasha Banks and Bailey promo.
Oh yeah, they're gonna fight next week.
Yeah, at least it
I'm
called
mad at
attention to the
that.
fact that Bailey's like, hey, you know what? Everybody knows you can win a championship, but you can't fucking defend it. Haha, I'm gonna beat you next week. Like, I like that, but I didn't like the promo. I never buy Sasha Banks as somebody who's tough.
Is it the stature?
No, it's her delivery.
I can live
Everything
with that.
feels like it's somebody playing wrestler to me. Like, there's something about her delivery that I just don't buy into, and it takes me out of every moment.
I can live with that.
So that's happening next week.
Carmella's happening next week.
Yeah, she did another. She's got her camera and she says that she's untouchable. And next week, everybody's gonna find out why. That kind of thing.
Did she screw over Sasha?
If they have Sasha drop that belt, Ben's gonna go crazy.
Can you imagine? By the way, I've thought about it. I think the SmackDown Women's title is going to mentally be associated with Bailey for me.
Just
I thought
like who do you think of when you think of like the Winged Eagle?
that is like Shawn Michaels.
I think Brett.
Yeah, I can see that.
I don't know why. I always think Brett. What do you think of when you think of the like the good original Intercontinental? Not original, but the good one.
Uh, Also Shawn Michaels.
I think Razor.
Uh, like when you think of the big gold, I think of Triple H. Most people probably think of Ric Flair. Um,
Yeah, I think Flair. Because to me, it's still just a WCW belt.
or like when you
Although
look at it, when you
secondary
look
though, if I think like oh WWE with the big gold belt, oddly enough, I think Batista.
really,
Hmm.
or like who you think of when you think of the
Oh, the
uh
spinner is totally CM Punk. It's like
yeah, see, it's interesting because I can see a lot of people saying that. Like for me, it's John Cena,
yeah, it's Cena.
but like CM Punk did hold that belt for 400 days.
The
Or
old United States title, I think Dolph Ziggler.
I think MVP.
Huh. Yeah, it's just I don't
It's
know.
one of
This
those things. I think Bailey is going to be associated with the SmackDown title for me.
is that like technically would that be a form of like synesthesia?
Probably, if we sat here and dissected ourselves,
All right,
as a,
really quickly, because this is an all talk show topic, but what the fuck, why not? We're already at like 2.5 hours or whatever we are. Numbers. Do you associate a color with them?
no.
Ah, that's interesting. I do with some. Like if you
So,
were to
like,
say to me
what do
what
you associate with the number four?
it's green.
Because red, blue, yellow, green. I can see it.
The number 3 is like
Yellow.
yellow for me, yeah. Number 5
Red
is
is number
red.
one, right?
Now 2 is blue.
One is
One
red, two is blue, right?
one I tend to think white.
Really?
Yeah.
So
I,
it's
g- I
black.
go I go white, black 0. I go black, white, and then I go blue, yellow. So I have no like color scheme, whatever. 4 is green, uh 5 is red. Uh I don't have like a set color for 6, 7, and 8 and 9, but a lot of times I imagine purple for 8.
So, like, immediately when you told me the concept, I immediately thought one is red, two is blue, three is yellow, four is like, yeah, that makes sense.
Like following through the Roy G. Biv kind of thing.
Yeah.
If anything, probably 6 is orange. Like if I was like, okay, well then like filling in the gaps or so. 7's probably gray, like silverish. And 9, I don't know. 9, I probably loop back around to
Magenta.
like a reddish kind of thing. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's like if you say to me like if I was I don't know if I did this as a kid or not, but like if I were to have drawn the number 4, I probably would have gone with a green one. Like just one of those things.
That's so interesting.
I don't know if that means I got a defective brain. I don't know if that means if I got some kind of weird connection going on here. But I do that with those kind of things. I do that with movies too sometimes. Some movies are different colors to me. The World's Not Enough, blue.
Goldeneye.
Goldeneye is one of I've watched it too many times, so I just picture the box covers. It's it's kind of one of those. From Russia with Love, red and brown met together. Maybe that's just
Phantom
because it's
Menace.
Russia colors. Don't have a color for that one.
Hmm.
Yeah, funny enough. Um, those are the TV things. We still have one more thing to talk about. Twitch,
And it's
Cameo.
Twitch. And it's fucking messy. And like as much as we could dive for another 3 hours, I don't know how much to say here. Here's what we know. Certain superstars are starting to suspend their Twitch accounts.
At the very least, AJ Styles, Mia Yim, Zelina Vega, Paige, probably a handful of other ones too. Adam Cole, I
Yeah.
think.
Nope, Cole's good
How is he good?
because he just is, baby.
Cameos are off. No longer taking
Some,
requests.
all of them?
I think so. I didn't double check. I don't know. There might be some people, but like Big E's not doing it anymore. Apparently, that kind of thing.
Poor dude. Just breaking it in.
There's a hashtag of Let Them Twitch that's going around. I don't know how popular it's gotten. Not that that's really going to matter.
I will tell you that Adam Cole twitched today. That's a weird statement. Said that Adam Cole streamed on Twitch today, and yeah, he was getting so much gifted subs and all that stuff. And I'm like, good God, they have opened Pandora's box. Because at the end of the day, this all boils down to steal your phrase, uh, people want to support the wrestlers directly, and now they feel like they can. So if they see a wrestler on a platform like this, they're gonna support them directly.
And Paige is the real discussion point for this. Paige broke down essentially, and to her credit, she's got an argument. She's like, I broke my neck for this company and they're trying to take my outlet. Like, I can't wrestle anymore. This is my way to connect with people, and it's something to keep my mind busy during the pandemic.
Yeah, that's the part that broke my heart.
And I'm like, yeah, it's like I'm fucking with her, you know? Like, I get WWE being like, "Hey, you're making money. Well, we want you to do that or whatever." But it's like I've never supported this idea that they're like, you can't do anything outside of this. Then make them employees. They're independent
Yeah.
contractors. They can't whatever like that. Then you shouldn't have it about that you can't do anything like that. It should be that you can't wrestle or you can't do autograph signings. Like anything that's like your business, yeah, you can't do the same things. But like, let them fucking play video games. You know, god damn, they're not like starting a rival company.
But here's the part where I'll be an asshole and say the but. Like, what if WWE wants to do their own Twitch?
If
And then
WWE wants to do their own thing, WWE should let them do what they're doing on Twitch until they have it. And then when they have their own thing, they should have it set up as this does not come out of your downside guarantee. This is a bonus thing on the side. You don't have to do it if you don't want to. If you do want to do Twitch streaming or something, then we're going to take your money out because then you are doing the opposite of what we're doing. You're working with the competition essentially. So your options are you do the WWE Extreme or whatever you want to call it, and you follow through with those protocols, or you don't do it at all, or you're fired. And then when you say, "Well, what money do I get?" You get uh like a percentage of that company's money, like you hit the subscribe button, and you do whatever, and you get I don't know how much money you get based off of Twitch. How much is it to subscribe or something?
uh it's like I forget, but there somebody said that Paige could potentially be making upwards of like 50K.
So let's say it's like $5 to subscribe. If it's like, okay, well, WWE will charge $5 for people to subscribe, the same case scenario. If I were WWE, I would be like, we'll make our own thing. We are doing it on our own, so we are taking a percentage of it. We're going to take the same percentage as Twitch. Because Twitch
Some
makes some kind of percentage off of that, I'm sure. Let's say theoretically Twitch takes 1/5. So you get $4 for every subscription. And you say to the WWE guys, you go, you're going to do that. We're going to take a fifth of it, and you get to keep the rest because it's a bonus thing you're doing on your downtime. It doesn't come out of your
somebody
downside guarantee either. You're like,
I believe it was PWI that said there are some who are theorizing that this has to do with Nick Khan becoming the president and kind of saying, "Hey, we can use this as a revenue stream."
that's like his
And
baby, essentially.
not necessarily even like his baby, because he comes from the world of Hollywood. So maybe he's just like, "Hey, why don't we do this?" You
Maybe not
know?
necessarily his baby. Maybe it's a bad phrase, but his, like, I'm going to prove myself at the beginning of my career by doing this, that kind of
He
thing.
did make the he did laugh and say, "Perhaps the best thing I've ever done is I was an usher at WrestleMania 9."
Hmm.
Um, the thing that got me with Paige was that she said it's not just about subs. It's about, you know, creating a community where we can just be ourselves. So maybe it's one of those things where they're like, "Hey, you're going to get to do this with us." And she's like, "No, I don't want to. Like, I don't want this to be another thing where I have to be a character."
Yeah, because you know that they're going to be like, well, we were watching your streams and we've got this dedicated person who's doing that now, and you're not being Paige. People are subscribing because they want to subscribe to Paige. So can you just be more like Paige? Can you
Man,
while you're
you're
at it,
saying that, and I want to punch you.
yeah, while you're streaming, can you make sure that everybody knows that they should tune into Talking Smack? Can you promote that? It'd be like,
Yeah.
no, fuck you. Like, come on.
I want to read you a little bit of what she said, transcribed by Fightful. Uh, she said, "There may be a time where I have to stop streaming. I'll have to walk away. If I have to leave, we have to make today and Saturday fucking crazy. I've honestly gotten to the point where I cannot deal with this company anymore. Now I have to make a very important decision. I'm fucking tired, man. I broke my fucking neck twice for this company. Over fucking worked. I broke my fucking neck twice for this company. They don't realize that this community isn't about subs. We built a community and family where this is an escape for a lot of people, including myself. I can't wrestle anymore. I was worked so hard in WWE that I can't wrestle anymore because my neck is fucked. My whole dreams got taken away. I had to have something that fulfilled the huge fucking void I lost with wrestling. I couldn't wrestle anymore, something I lived and breathed since I was a fetus, and it got ripped away from me. And like I I get that. Like, yeah, she's got a case, you know?
If I were
She
in
was
her shoes, depending on, of course, circumstances that we don't know, I'd be like, look, I'm looking into this unionization thing. If you want to fire me. I'm keeping my Twitch.
yeah, and
Because if
just go.
like with somebody like an AJ Styles, it's like, well, no, he wants to make as much money and still wrestle for the next 5 years. Paige can't. Like, keep the Twitch. Don't just get paid from WWE to do nothing. If the Twitch matters that much, where it's really like an outlet for like your
Mental health,
mental
like
health and everything like that, then
go
prioritize
home and be
that.
on Twitch.
Be on Twitch, have more fun, make the money that way. And if WWE's like, fuck you, then we don't want you to be a part of the company, then go, well, I'm just promoting crap and doing anything anyway. It's not like I'm wrestling. So if anybody else wants me to promote their stuff, AEW will hire me for that or something.
And she did kind of say, she's like, I love this company. I don't want to be like this, like I've been in this company since I was a little kid, basically, because I was 19 when I started here.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, there too many rules, and I think like that's the thing, is that there's too many rules, and it's a new generation of people who don't want to hear, "Hey, you can't be you because you have to be TV you." It's kind of like CM Punk was right, you know, 4 years or 6 years ago, whatever it was, where he's just like, "This shit's not fun." You know, they want you to be a character all the time, but then if you're mean to a kid on Twitter, you have to publicly apologize. CM Punk called this shit out
Mm-hmm.
forever ago.
And it seems like there's certain people that probably get it and wouldn't be doing that if they had the power. And certain people that just don't get it. So
Yep,
I'm not anticipating good news coming out of any of this Twitch stuff. I'm assuming that just sucks for all them.
and it does suck.
It does suck. It's greedy type
Sucks for the
crap.
fan base too, because I'll admit, I personally don't understand Twitch. I think, again, my personal opinion, Robert D. Felice, the individual, personally think, is this contributing to like the negative, like, oh, but I'm actually friends with them mindset that some people have? I think so, but that doesn't mean that you shouldn't be able to interact with your favorite. Like you should have that interaction.
I see value to it. I don't do it because I'm
Here,
not
well,
a
here's my
celebrity
problem.
guy.
Well, and to tie this whole 3 hour podcast in together, here's my whole issue with this. I think that it all goes back to corporate speak. about we and I love Paige and she's probably speaking from the heart, but still, verbiage. We built this community to get and I was just like, man, just also admit that you're monetizing though. Like, yes, you
I
did
mean,
build a community, and I'm glad that she's, you know, got an outlet for herself. But would you do it for free?
that's theoretically like if WWE, which we know that WWE would, if they get underneath their branding, they're going to tell them, promote this, talk about this, act like your character. If you don't have those directives, and the only thing that would change would be they don't make the money anymore, or they don't make as much of the money. And if somebody says that they're doing it for anything other than the money and they don't want to do it, then that's like, well, then you're lying. Like,
Cause like, cause like the devoted fan bases that you see, people will like, here's all this money just for like acknowledging my username on your stream. Paige knows who I am, and like I'm not. Listen, if that again, it's a slippery slope. Like if that helps you through your day, by all means, yay. I'm happy for you, but I just feel like we're getting to this stage of, well, this is the new marketing and this is the new way to grow your business by directly creating communities. And it's like, I don't care. Like, I want to watch you play video games and be a normal person because I want to see you be happy. Like, I don't want to see this turn into an extension of your brand. Like, I'm so sick of this mindset that everybody's a brand, and you might have to
yeah,
rub me in here because I don't want to go even longer than we have. But it's just like it's fucking draining on all parties. Like, yes, they're independent contractors. They should be able to fucking play video games on Twitch if they want to. But also, like, hey, if they see that you're fucking monetizing, of course they're gonna try to get in on that.
right.
Because it's all about money at the end of the day. And it sucks. It does suck. But they are a business, and it is what it is. I hate it. But it is what it is.
You'll never hear me say that I am a brand. Now, I will say things like the Smark Out Moment brand because it's a thing and never like me. Like, if you follow fanboys because you followed me through Smark Out Moment and you like the way that I do things, then you like my work. You don't like, I don't want anybody to think of themselves as like, I'm a member of this Smark Out Moment and Tony Mango and Fanboys Anonymous Tony Mango brand. It's like, no, a mango tree is my overall company type of thing. But that's like Nike makes shoes. I don't put a Nike hat on to show anybody that I'm a part of the Nike brand
But the
or I'm a part of
problem,
the Nike family or and people have always done that kind of crap. They've done the whole like
but now it's so much fucking larger.
now it's more goddamn annoying cuz I remember back in the day like, just talking about even that, like people would be like, "Oh, you hear the whatever this person wears Reebok." And it's like, "Oh, do I fucking care? Well, like, or do they like their shoes? That's what matters to them. Oh, you're not wearing this type of brand? No. Like, I'm never gonna be the type of person that is also like, people do that kind of shit where they're like, I spent $200 on this white T-shirt because it's from this brand, and you're like, yeah, you could go get that for like $3 at Walmart. It's the same thing. What a dumbass
Yeah,
you are for spending that much money on that. Like, what was it, like thousands of dollars that Rusev spent because he wanted
that's
a
exactly
Mickey
what I
Mouse
was
shirt?
thinking.
Like, fuck you. You're gonna spend that money on that? Why? Because it was made from the Gucci? Who gives a shit about Gucci? The people who give a shit about Gucci. And you know who are so much happier? The people who don't give a shit about Gucci. I'm wearing shoes right now that I bought at Payless. And you know why I bought them? They look the way I wanted them to look, and they're fucking comfortable. And they were like $11 or something. Great. I don't give a shit who made them. I don't even know who fucking made them. Uh it says Airwalk on it. Who does Airwalk?
Generic brand.
Yeah, doesn't matter. It could be fucking Bob's shoes, and I'll be like, "Hey, Bob's shoes, good shoes." Like just kind of So the Tony Mango brand is not a thing, and I'm not just gonna go by Mango either, like Matt Riddle.
And
Um,
like, but like, and I get that. It's just I know that that's the way that people see themselves. That's why you see, Lana dancing on TikTok and being
mhm.
sponsored. And it's just like if
Kim
you're gonna be a
Kardashian is the fucking problem.
it's the influencer culture. Like, if you're gonna be a person, be a person. If you're gonna, endorse something, fine. But don't like your every waking move doesn't have to be an extension of a brand. And that's what I feel like Paige is getting at. And I hope that she means that. Like, I hope she would do Twitch for free. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just so sick of verbiage is what I'm saying. I hate community and inclusive. I love all of those things in concept, but I'm so sick of the oh, we're gonna hammer this home and beat you over the head with it. And thank you for coming to my TED talk because I'm like I could do this all day, and I very much have at times. Like I'll give you a good one, and then I'll shut up until Tony does the plugs. I'm an independent contractor. I have an extensive schedule. I use that schedule to say, hey, look at my work. Here's the deal. I can't go on WrestleZone and shit on Fightful. I can't go on Fightful and shit on WrestleZone. I don't have to do these with Tony. We make it very clear that we don't get any money for these. I do this because this is my fucking, mental
Fun.
outlet.
Yeah.
Like, I would do these for free, and I have, and I would do them forever for free because Tony is awesome, and that's why we do this, to just chill out and have fun. But I'm also an independent contractor, and I know part of what comes with that. Now, Sean Ross Sapp can't say he owns my name. That can't happen, but you know, I understand that there's certain guidelines that I have to play within. That's my thing. I hope that Paige finds the resolution she's looking for. I hope she finds peace. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
Yeah, it's a dicey, messy, awful situation that people shouldn't be in, and it sucks. Um,
Yeah.
of course, like anything else, if that changes in some way, we will address that on the next hot tags. That, of course, is coming next week before we get into the pay per view stuff for next week and everything like that. But the next things that are going to be coming your way are going to be based off of that. I mean, first things first, we have the Paul Heyman SmackDown podcast coming up at some point Saturday. Not entirely sure when. And then we're going to roll along into next week with the main event of the Full Gear predictions, which look at this. We got 8 matches on this card that we can talk about a week before the go home show. Wow, imagine that. Having they got graphics. They've got we know where it's happening.
It's almost
It's
like they put effort into it.
yeah, who'd have thought? So we know at least 8 matches that we're going to be talking about. Maybe a ninth one gets announced. Maybe it doesn't. If it doesn't, we got a full card anyway. So we will talk about that next Wednesday, which will maybe we'll do it next Thursday. I'm not entirely sure. We'll do one of those 2 days, and then we will do the next hot tags. And then we'll do another Parliament SmackDown podcast, and then we will do the post show for Full Gear on Saturday night, November 7th. And
Oh God, I full disclosure, I don't like the AEW pay-per-view nights because they run long, and
they do tend to run long.
I'm so used to WWE.
Yeah, so that might be really late. I don't know how that's gonna work out. Maybe midnight or something. Maybe it won't. Maybe we'll be lucky. And after that, we're gonna get into some of the other stuff throughout the rest of the month. I mean, this whole time around, we're gonna be doing the Champsgiving tournament. So of course, towards the end of the month, the couple days after Thanksgiving is when we're gonna recap that. So vote on the different rounds. In the meantime, as I mentioned before, if you voted for Lashley or MVP or Shelton or R-Truth or John Morrison, go ahead and change your votes as soon as you possibly can because I'm going to shut those polls off. And those 5 are no longer eligible to be in the qualifying round and to be in the bracket. We've got Superstar Scores Undertaker, most likely coming up after Full Gear and before Survivor Series. And then we'll see what happens. I mean, I got plans, but I don't need to bog this down any longer. So just if you are a fan of all that kind of stuff, you're going to want to subscribe. You're going to want to follow us and just keep paying attention to what we got going on because we also have all the other things that happen on the website, all the other potential chances for dark cast episodes on the Patreon, maybe some random things, kind of like how we did that random mock draft. You never know what's going to happen. So subscribe and ring that bell, and then you'll know when something happens. So you should follow that stuff. You should follow Rob, what he's got going on.
Yeah, so check me out on Twitter at DudeFelice. Check out everything I'm doing over at Fightful and WrestleZone.com. And if you keep clicking around, you'll see some good stuff over the weekend as we had a quieter weekend before getting into the madness that is Full Gear. And thank you all for your support. If you've listened this far, from the bottom of both of our hearts, I'm sure I can speak for you on this one. Thank you.
I'm glad
It
you didn't say
means
from the bottom of our hearts, fuck you, or something like that. I'd be like, you're not speaking for me on that.
you see, though, you have to choose your words carefully. You see what I'm saying?
You changed a
Yeah,
couple
but
letters
thank
from
you.
thank you to it's like, yeah, thank you so much for listening to this, everybody. A 3-hour edition of Hot Tags. You know, we don't do that all that often, but sometimes you got a big week, a lot of things happening. Sometimes we just want to rant a little bit. If we can, or if we just swallow air the wrong way and choke like I just did,
Oh, I
that's a
thought you were
bad
going to
idea.
say that it was the baby.
Uh, good old 138th episode joke. Wow, that couldn't have happened at a time when I was after saying that we were done recording, right? Well, that is the end of this episode, though. Thank you for listening, everybody. Follow us on all the different platforms. Follow me at Tony Mango. Follow Smark Out Moment, so on and so forth. Check out Fanboys Anonymous for whatever's happening there. And we will see you when we see you, everybody. But for now, this has been another Smark Out Moment, and we're being counted out.